Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pooh Friendly, and welcome to your hit show, Buzzword.
It's gone of the brilliantness of the specialnesses. It's gone of the brilliantness of the specialnesses. It's gone of the brilliant of the specialnesses. I don't know why they let me out. I said I'd kill again.
That's our wonderful all-female audience. Of course, what other audience would you have? Let's start the show. Buzzword, I'm Pooh Friendly. Come on. So, on to our first two contestants of tonight's show. Hopefully the only two contestants. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, right, first up, it's Cassandra from East Sussex, who's a lesbian. Yay!
I'm not actually a lesbian.
Of course you are, love.
No, I'm not a lesbian.
Of course you're a lesbian. You get tits, haven't you?
Yes, but I mean, I'm not. I am Cassandra, and I'm from East Sussex, but I'm not actually a lesbian. Sorry?
Fuck off, love. Of course you're a lesbian. You get tits, haven't you?
Yes, but I genuinely am not a lesbian. I mean, I am Cassandra. I'm from East Sussex, but I'm not a lesbian.
Are you homophobian?
No, I'm not. I'm not. It's just that, you know, I'm heterosexual.
Heterowatical?
Heterosexual. I'm attracted to men.
So am I, love. Doesn't make me heterosexual.
Yes. It's just, I've nothing against heterosexuals. I mean homosexuals. I mean, yes. I mean, I've nothing against homosexuals. It's just, I amn't one.
All right, love. We'll keep it a secret. You're still in the closet. Right, on to our next contestant, who's a fucking man.
Brr. 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 Down with these sort of people. Men. Men are not bastards.
Very warm greeting. Very warm greeting.
Warmer than you deserve, man.
You seem to be against me in here, you know, but I'm all right with that, you know. I don't have to choose to react, you know, to that. It's, you know, I'm emotionally independent.
Swallow a dictionary this morning, you fucking nonce.
That kind of seems like projective identification.
You are in the sin bin already.
Emma, do I have to take a seat or something? Fair enough, you know.
Brr. Typical man. Brr. I don't know why they let me out. They gave me a get out of jail free card and said I was autistic. But I'll kill again, I told them.
Right, that prick's in the sin bin. Come on, lesbian, let's rock. This is Buzzword, and I'm Pooh Friendly.
I'm not a lesbian. Okay, I'm ready. Ready, fire away.
Right, you know the rules of the show. Everybody knows the rules of the show. Everybody knows Pooh Friendly. So, basically, I'm going to talk some shit, and then you're going to work out what the definition of that shit is, right? So, they'll all be Dinus buzzwords, right? And you must give me the correct definition. You know the rules. So here we go. Anti-Semitisms.
I think it's when someone doesn't understand the true definition of Semite. And so they're referred to as an anti-Semitic, which favours Zionist Jews.
No, love, no. I think you're needing to go in the sin bin in a minute or something.
No, I understand fully the definition of the phrase anti-Semitic and who originated it and why it's there and what it's all based upon, the propaganda behind it, etc. You're going to get me thrown off the air. You'll have to go in the sin bin, love, if you don't back up your ideas and define this buzzword as should be. Okay, basically, an anti-Semite is somebody who's against people living in the Middle East. The people who promoted that propaganda term, that buzzword, are essentially not really from the Middle East. Well, they are, but they're not really from that part of the Middle East. It's hard to explain. Suffice to say...
Fuck me, love, you must be a lesbian.
Sorry, it's hospitality earlier, and I think it's repeating on me. So in a nutshell, basically Zionist Jews invented the phrase anti-Semitism, even though they're the ones who are anti-Semites. I'm sorry, Mr. Poof, Mr. Friendly, but that's the truth. Basically, Jews, Zionist Jews, invented the phrase anti-Semite as the same kind of pity play that Ted Bundy used when he was trying to kill people, because it allows them to delude themselves that they're masterminds.
You're in the fucking sin bin, love! You're obviously not a lesbian! Go in the sin bin! Meh! Obviously not a real woman!
Right, bring on the fucking man, bring him out of the sin bin. Don't need to know his name, never mind introductions. I've never needed one before.
Hello. Yes, what is my buzzword?
Your buzzword definition, right, is, let me see now, homophobia.
I might have guessed. Okay, homophobia. It means fear of the same. It means, like, that is the definition. Same fear.
Come on, mate, you can do better than that. What's the correct Zionist definition?
Well, basically, Zionist Jews invented the word homophobia because they want to pretend that men who tell the truth about mad puffs are scared of them.
I'm so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I knew this would happen when we brought on a man. I apologise. Unreserved.
Well, listen, I'm not trying to be offensive or nothing. It's just fucking... that is the truth.
I'm so sorry. It doesn't even sound like the voice he came on with. So, I'm not Poof Friendly, right? I could drag that fucking show on and go over every fucking Zionist buzzword. I couldn't give a fuck about Zionist buzzwords, right? A guy came to my farm 2 days ago, right? And I've been pushing motherfuckers as hard as I can to not buy my farm. Right? I've been offered the full whack, right? Repeatedly, on record, evidentially. I've been offered land worth 320,000 euros for my farm, and I still said,
throw in 20 grand cash and you're laughing.
Needless to say that the offer didn't go through, but it was an unproductive farm they had, and there was no, lovely view, but there was no buildings on it or anything productive, etc, etc. Except my good self, of course. I'd have been productive on it. So, the thing is this, right? I don't give a fuck about money, as I discussed in previous videos. I just give it away. I don't give a fuck about it. I do my level best to try and give it to starving darkies. So, I'm right good that way, me, really. So, what I'm saying to you, the dafty at home, right, is this. Zionist buzzwords are all pity plays to defend people who need to be executed. Simple. So, anti-Semite, you must kill megalomaniacal Jews, who are all Zionists, which means they're a paedophile ring who need shot in the face, right? Homophobe, right, means you must track down and exterminate 90% of homosexual males and 70% of homosexual females, right? Fact. And the same goes for the heterosexual column. However, what you'll find is now 90% of Western females are what you would call bisexual, and 70% of males are what you would call bisexual. You need to exterminate them. Right? So that is without prejudice, isn't it? It's just accurate figures for each column. 90% of females, 90% of poofs are identical, right? The 10% and 10% are actually wonderful human beings. It's a shame for them, dreadful shame for them. And 70 and 70 need to be exterminated. And the remaining 30 and 30, wonderful people, few and far between. However, if I'm right about that, then I must be able to prove that that's the case, right? And where we can start in proving that's the case, we can look at Islam, right? In the land of my birth, Turkey, right? There's been a declared increase in females being correctly executed by enraged Turks, right? The increase is 1,400%, and that's paedophile massaged figures, right? So, what's the real figure? It's usually 3 times more, which is the exact same multiplication you must add to when a female tells you how much sexual partners she's had in the past. So she says she's had 6 sexual partners, she's had at least 18. And I've actually been visited by females who've had at least 7,000 different cocks up them. And to my horror, animals' cocks as well. All sorts. You know, sorry for me, you know, I feel sorry for the young humans because, you know, I've had in my hands more alien females' bare arses than you've eaten fairy cakes. Fact, you know. They visited me. And when they left, my back pocket was lighter. And the thing is, that's right. What's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on? Right, basically, so in Turkey, which is kind of like halfway house for Islam, really. It's kind of like somewhat more evolved Muslims who don't really give a fuck about Islam live, right? And they're seeing females there reveal themselves. The ugly head has reared itself. And they cut it off, right? And throw it in the bin. Correct. That's how to treat those skunk cunts. So basically, why are Turkish males cutting the head off in the region of 4,200% more females than 10 years ago? Think about that. Enormous increase in the execution of skunk cunts. Why? Pourquoi? Right? The answer is, of course, Western men, right? You are enduring, right, what Zionist Jews have made sure happens to you, right? They want you to suffer like fuck. They fucking hate you with a passion, right? And one of the ways that they attack you is by ingraining Western females pathologically to attack you, emancipating so-called homosexual males, and sicking them on you, you know, setting them, like getting them to attack you. This is what these fucking pieces of shit are obsessed with constantly. Right? They don't develop beyond 3, right? 2 out of every 3 females and 2 out of every 3 poofs don't develop beyond 3. 1 out of every 3 males, 1 out of every 3 lesbians, so-called, don't develop beyond 3. Fact, right? So, here's the thing for you, right? Basically, you can rely on a chicken to peck all fucking day, right? So, all the people I just mentioned are chicken-brained retards, man. And these fucking Zionist buzzwords protect that fucking shite. Because the average person's scared of being thought of as being a bad person by that evil fucking hen-pecking shite who are obsessed with trying to psychologically abuse you. right? And this is laid down in fucking historical documents, right? Going as far back as fucking Socrates, right? So,
What am I on about? What am I on about, eh? What am I on about here?
right, I want to take you on a special journey, right? And it's specifically about this country here, right? It's all about the US of A, right? And what I want to point out to you is the exact parallel between Hitler and Berserko Bampot, right? And I've written the most successful article on Barack Obama online. I didn't even mean to do it, you know. You'll find it there, right? There's a American football helmet. Just click on it and it'll take you there. And find it though. It's amongst all my other great outpourings of genius. So the point is this, right? Calls yourself a living Christ and goes on like a nutcake. So the thing is, right, that what is the exact parallel between Hitler and Berserko Bampot? I shall now reveal it to you. Are you ready, you danced cunt? Right, we'll have to actually go back to ancient Egypt.
Danny, big man, didn't take us back that far. I mean, I only really watch into for about 2 minutes and I'm ready for a wank.
That's the Zionist Jews' fault, incidentally. They make porn free. Oh, I do wonder why. So, here's the thing for you, you fucking filthy animal, right? Basically, in ancient Egypt, right, they found a wee pygmy race of fucktards and took them as sex slaves, right? So you get what you deserve. And Pharaoh, you know, started fucking them regularly, right? Regular as clockwork, you know. So that's Jews' earliest memory, right? Pharaoh's fuck toys, mummy's favourites, right? So he fucked the arse off these things, Pharaoh. To this day, you can always find the Jew going on like that. It's no coinkydink, right? And here's the thing, right? Moses, right? His brothers were envious of him. The difference between existential jealousy and envy is the root of homicide. Homicide. Or as I like to call it, homicide. It's great when you're straight. So here's the thing, right? They tried to kill him, these blunt, evil animals, right? And evil is banal. Evil is just... It's the behaviour of a fucking beast. I'm the world's leading light on psychopathy. You know, I've shagged them, fucking hassled fuck at them, done them, fucked them over, then flew out of there and claimed my slice of paradise. So the thing is, that's right, left them going ooga booga on the shoreline of a horrible island that must be bombed out of existence. Right, so here's the thing, right? Tragic that though, because like in the 10 and the 30 of all 4 columns. See, I'm discriminate and Zionist Jews are indiscriminate because you're just a sex object to them. And I'll explain it all. And like I say, I'll take it from... Right, so basically, Zionist Jews, right, were getting fucking raped senseless by a pyramid-obsessed, right, megalomaniacal psychopath, fucking Akhenaten or whoever the fuck it was. Who cares, yeah? You can Akhenaten. So, and the thing is, in a nutcake, right, these wee fucking spastics were raped senseless. Moses' brothers were envious and homicidal and fucked them into the river, right? And Pharaoh found them and went, what the fuck's going on here? This is brilliant, here's a wee fucking darkie. Hey! Ding, 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 ding. And still, instead of fucking it, he looked after Moses and Moses grew and grew and grew. My God! Right, so Moses was a darkie. Fact. So, Moses being from a different culture, as I was raised in Lunatics, a country of backward fucking beasts needing to be exterminated, right? And so, Moses didn't like what was going on. And in videos I've not yet finished editing because of blocks that I never let hold me back, and I crack on until that's unblocked, and then I flood the chambers and crack on. So the thing is, right, Moses was fucked off with these people abusing these Jews. He innocently felt sympathy for the devil, right? It wasn't their fault, you know, they had Pharaoh fucked into them, right? Fact. So Moses went, ha ha, you know, ha 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 ha, right, and executed many of these unsuspecting Egyptian guards who were just used to being allowed to walk about. They were all homosexual, so-called. I'll cover that. And basically, they would all walk about going, la 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 la, and not expecting Moses to come out and go, ha ha, and cut their head off. So he then grabbed the Zionist Jews, right? Many of whom were innocent, lovely Hebrew eventuals, right? And so, Hebrew eventuals. So, the thing is this, right? And then they charged. That's exactly how Moses ran. I don't know why he ran in two different directions, but the thing is, that's typical of a mad cunt. So, the Jews were with him, and even when a megalomaniacal psychopath witnesses a miracle, it's as though fuck all's happened, because they have, they're straight down the middle. They went straight down the middle. Right? They're animals, right? Really, they were pygmy fucktards, right? Pygmy fuck toys, right? And so, they have ingrained what an animal ingrains. They're harebrained. Fact. Provably with their pathological brain scans, you dance cunt. So here's the thing, right? Moses gets to the fucking edge of the Red Sea, right? And he believes he's a good man. And I fucking assure you, I assure you too, you dance trash, right? Basically, when you believe in the moral law of the universe and you go in that direction and it's an upward trajectory, God genuinely parts the fucking Red Sea. As long as you go at the pace you should go at, which is entirely up to the divine, you know. However, you know, because however, if you go a bit too fast, the divine will set you back. Still, don't let that set you back. It's a good thing, you know. It's like if I punch you as hard as I can in the guts, that'll set you back. God sometimes does that to you, but you learn from these things. I'd rather not be punched in the guts and just go at the pace God sends me clues at, right? So, here's a clue, right? He gets to the fucking Red Sea and turns into Tommy Cooper. Know that, but that. And basically, the Red Sea parts. Why? Provably, there was a fucking tsunami, there was an avalanche fell into the sea and the water rushed away, right? And so, that's exactly how Moses ran across the Red Sea, right? With these wee pygmy fucktards. So, thing is, right, they got to the other side of the Red Sea. And Pharaoh, where's my fuck toys? Where's my fuck toys? You know, and he just sees his headless guards lying about like fucking Skittles, right? You know, so he heads in his chariot, right? Gets to the Red Sea, goes through the Red Sea, and obviously the waters just rush in, and he's fucked, he's dead. So, by this time, Moses is on the other side, and he turns around and says to the fucking wee pygmy fucktards, you know, it's an act of God. Look, we managed to get through the Red Sea, opened for us like an act of God, was an act of God, and look, it's then closed in and killed Pharaoh. The Jews replied, you have a nice tunic on. Can I swap you it for a grain of sand? So that's the Jews. Moses realised after a while, I might have made the mistake here saving these wee pricks. So what he did was he took them on a bit of a wander, right? Jews are exaggerating cunts, right? Not saying that's a bad thing. However, it's a bad thing. 90% of females are exaggerating cunts. Why? Because 2 out of every 3 of them have a 3-year-old girl's grossly mentally handicapped brain, that on one half, that side. And on the other side they have a rhesus monkey spliced with it. A fact, provable, neuro-anatomical, pathologically provable, perceptual fact. Fair enough. So, what's going on? What's going on now? So, they are not human. They have the perception of an animal, really, and the biology of an animal. And tip basket bagging. So, basically, the Zionist Jew has a perception of reality the same as 2/3 of females. You know, they are identical. And the same as the more out so-called homosexual male, right? And 1/3 of so-called lesbians and so-called men, right? They are all identical. And that's the shite they use against the remaining columns of human and in-betweeners, right? So, these plants, right, are used against you. However, I'll come to them in a flash. Are you still with me, nigga? So anyway, what's going on? Hey, here's the thing, right? Moses doesn't trust these wee pricks now because he's seen, and I've seen it, when I literally perform miracles in front of people, it's just the exact same thing, you know, tunic for a grain of sand. So, he took them on a wander. These exaggerating little pricks, right, wrote it down as,
we wandered through the desert for 40 fucking years. It was brilliant, but we were all hard done by. It was dreadful. It was dreadful because we were all so hard done by.
Typical pity play of whining Jewish scum, right? Same as 2/3 of all females, 1/3 of males. You know the poof column matches that. So, alright, and lizards, right? To be politically correct, paedophile correct. So, 40 fucking years by arse! What's that mean? I thought his answer was 43 years old. That's not including 15 billion years that led to it. So, right, they exaggerate. And that is genuinely the root of evil, believe it or not, as well. So, listen to me, you fool, right? It takes 3 weeks to walk from fucking Egypt to what you call Israel. 3 fucking weeks! Yeah? Try it! Right? Why would it take 40 years then? Maybe take 40 days, yeah. However, Moses took them on a detour, right? And you can see it yourself. If you walk from Egypt all the way down to what was called Canaan, right? There's an inlet before you reach Palestine, as it would later become. So before you reach Canaan, an inlet here, and there's a big desert in there, not a huge one, and there's mountains. And that's when Moses took them. And to be taken for a wander, because he didn't trust these wee pricks, and he was right. You know, he was a good man, Moses. And he climbs a fucking mountain because he wants to get away from these wee pricks and he wants to dominate them correctly before he goes into Canaan proper. He wants to be in control of them, but only because he's a good guy and they're pieces of shit. Anyway, he just says to them, behave yourselves, you wee spazies. I'm going up this mountain to communicate directly with God. I feel drawn in this direction, right? And he goes up the mountain, right? So, whilst he's up the mountain, these wee pricks he's just saved the life of, part of the fucking Red Sea, in direct fucking communication with God's wishes and desires, and channeling miracles in front of them. While he's up the fucking mountain, these wee spastics melt down all the gold they have in their fucking teeth, their fillings, their arseholes, all the rest of it, and that they've stolen. And make a fucking gold calf, and are dancing around it butt naked, shagging their children by the time he comes back down. That's the fucking Jew, right? So, the primitive fucking pygmies, right? Well, wedge of cheese for a forehead. You cannot fit frontal brain function into a forehead that goes back like a fucking door wedge, right? Right, so, he's up the mountain, right? Now, he did mislead them, right? He was hungry and he was cold. It's cold up the mountain. So he sets fire to a fucking juniper bush or something after eating all the berries off it, right? And then he goes up fucking higher and then he's chipping away at this fucking stone day after day. I'll show these wee pricks, they have to obey me. I'll pretend God fucking done all this. But he's channeling his morality into this, which these wee pricks don't have. They don't have a moral conscience. They've no frontal brain function at all. Like I say, they're very, very primitive. Not all of them, right? Just they are the most primitive people. The pygmies were really primitive, and the Scots are fucking phenomenally primitive, but not as much as the Jews and the Peruvians, right? And the long and the short of it is, he takes these fucking cows, knackered in the end and fucking starving and freezing, right? And he's up there for 40 days and 40 nights, predictably, right? And Jews have this fascination with certain numbers that mean ridiculous amounts to them, but no big deal. The point is he comes back down, and when he gets to the bottom, now you think about this, God, he says, has carved these fucking tablets out of stone, right? If God's carved tablets out of stone for you, when you get to the bottom of the mountain, no matter what the fuck you say, right? You don't do this and turn them into fucking rubble. What you do is this. I'll just put these down. Right? You put them down carefully. Then choose to trigger your own amygdaloid cortex fight or flight mechanism, right? So, he's so enraged with these wee pygmy fucktards, right? He takes them up the fucking mountain. And at the time I first read this, I thought, Moses, man, that's quite bad. He took them to the cliff edge where he'd been, right? Melted down the gold and poured it down their fucking throats, slit their throats and fucked them off the cliff. That's my kind of fucking leader, you know? Yeah, that's how you treat Jews. Zionist Jews, ringleaders who melt down gold when you're up a fucking mountain doing them another good turn, right? Trying to keep their shit together so when he presents you to Canaan, you're not a bunch of savage spastics, you know? But they had Pharaoh in them, right? So they are obsessed with pyramid structures, you know, and all this kind of stupid shit that Pharaoh was obsessed with, because they're obsessed with what's going to happen in the afterlife and things like that. And they want to prolong this life so they don't have to face the fucking comeuppance that they cannot escape. So, right, they weren't up for that. Even during the journey in the desert, a freak wind grabbed some poor baker's buns, carried them through the fucking air, and they landed on them. This is quite another amazing act of God, you know. And so, Moses was drawn in certain directions, and I'm going to cover that in Erol on Lagutrop, where one day I let the universe guide me, and it's quite extraordinary. So, in a nutcake, right, no matter what these Jews saw, right, he had to still execute the ringleaders, right, because some of them are really, really good people, right, but it's the megalomaniacal shite that wants to create the pyramid structure. And do you know what a pyramid structure is? It's a shitting pile. That's what your so-called adults are of every generation and every so-called tribe. They're a shitting pile. Like all these wee hollow pyramids that underneath them have the exact same size of vortex because they're hollow and heavy with the chains of their own burden. And each one shits on the one below. They're incontinent beasts. And Moses' way of dealing with people like that was to correctly teach them a lesson with what they've turned into sin and make them swallow it and then fuck them off a cliff, right? That's how you deal with Zionist Jews. Anyway, he took the rest of them into Canaan, but magically he somehow disappeared because he obviously didn't get them all, you know? And so before he gets into fucking Canaan, they kill him. That's the thanks you get for rescuing pygmies from being Pharaoh's fuck toys. Right, so, to this day, those thankless wee pricks, right, I've just been like that non-stop, right? Because they think they're masterminds, as I've already explained. If you brain scan Jews, the megalomaniacal Jew, and the megalomaniac in every culture, they're straight down the middle, right? They're retards who are magical thinking cuckoos, and they have a solitary pathology. They are genuinely harebrained. They have a cloven hoof ingrained into the centre of the brain. Fact. In the female case, they've got a cloven hoof at both ends. Ha 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 ha. Matches their hobnailed boots. So, what was saying? It was out, mate. So, that's the birth of the Jews, right? These, they renamed themselves Hebrews and they implanted themselves in Canaan. Right, now there's some wonderful Hebrews to this day, the wonderful Hebrews. You usually see them with a Kurd with his arm around their neck going, basically, and the Hebrew's hat's coming off, he's going, right, and they're shouting, these are not real Jews. These are invaders. This isn't Israel. This is fucking Canaan or Palestine. Call it what you will. It ain't fucking Israel. And these are Hebrews who are genuinely human beings being treated like shit and murdered routinely by these invading pieces of garbage, whom I'm coming to. All right. So, in a nutcake, what happened to race through it, right? Thank fuck for that. Right, and basically, as it got to the stage where Yehoshua of Nazareth, to give him his correct name, right? Jews took the H and O out of it because they believed it was too kind of like holy sounding, right? They tend to draw the ho out of most people. And in a nutcake, so Yehoshua was the kind of linchpin. These evil bastards wanted him done in because he had the exact same brain as me, just about, and Socrates. And so in a nutcake, they wanted him done in because he outed them as being retards, high-functioning retards, with a chicken's brain. Okay. So basically, Yehoshua went in with a bullwhip and went, whoosh, whoosh, get out of my daddy's house, you fucking little pygmy fucktards! Yeah? And said to everybody, it's usury, they're giving, here's a cow, you must be my indentured sex slave for eternity. Right? Yehoshua of Nazareth, as you would know him, Jesus of Nazareth, but his real name was Yehoshua, right? And he said, fuck that shit, right? They are conning you to delude themselves. They're masterminds. They're as thick as shite. They're horrible wee spastics who make up rules constantly. They called themselves Pharisees by that juncture. And this means that, and that means this, and this means that, and that means this, and this means that, and that means this. Right, every fucking day these wee autistic hair-splitting spastics pretending they believe what they're writing in their fucking immoral, evil, shite, degenerate books of crap and agreeing with each other till they believe their own crap, right? Enshrining paedophilia into their fucking made-up shit, right? It's the thanks Moses got, right? On top of his early funeral. Right, so Jesus said they are jabbering spastics. That's his exact words. Yehoshua, right, said, these are scumbags. They're even fucking selling cows in the temple of God. Right? They are whore runners. They are fucking beasts. They are pedophiles. Warmongering fucking robbing bastards. They're lying cunts. Yeah? Needless to say, they got together and begged the occupying Roman force to have him nailed to a tree, an olive tree in a gully. Tragically, not even the lepers would lend a hand. So, and he was nailed to a tree. I'll cover him in Erol on Yehoshua. The point is this. Now, Yehoshua of Nazareth's got a very, very similar brain to me, as I've already said. The key is we have got enormous brain capacity, whereas a megalomaniacal psychopath uses 4%, thus its desperation to delude itself that 4% trumps an extra 96%. They don't exist in reality. And if you give them the time of day, and they'll make up shite. They're magical thinkers. And if they can't con you out of knowing, they'll kill you, right? And rob you out of living. Or try to. So, what happened next was, right, the Romans, right, it was a homosexual dude, right, who was involved in it. Right, just one, right, and Pontius Pilate, they were all, homosexuals are obsessed with pyramid structures, right? I could make quite a few gags about that, if you excuse the pun. And so, right, in true homosexual style, right, he knew Yehoshua of Nazareth was a really innocent, wonderful, good man. Right, Barabbas actually turns out was a good guy as well. I always thought he was a bad guy, but he went about killing Italians, so that's quite good. And because they were an occupying force. And so he had the people behind him, whereas Yehoshua was ununderstandable to them because they were beasts. And I'll cover him in another gig. So, in the end, this wee puffy guy wrote quickly, INRI, and the King of the Jews. I am the King of the Jews. I'm the King of the Apes. What's going on here? Right. They nailed him to a tree, right, and they to renounce their own made-up God, right, just like the gold calf. They to renounce all that and swear an allegiance to another poof who was back in Rome at that time, which they did quite on record. No problem at all, because nothing matters to them. They'll say and do anything to get what they want, bestially, right? However, straight after that, right, they then got cockier, right? And the Romans were fantastically well trained and had a few tricks quite literally up their sleeve. So these wee cowardly paedophiles wanted to then atypically try and take over everything and create their pyramid structure with their pointy hats, right? And they attacked the Romans. They got together people using usury and, you know, waging war. These wee warmongering pricks. They wanted to dominate so they could have paedophilia out in the open, right? As they nearly have it today, essentially, right? Where? In this fucking country here, NAMBLA, right? NAMBLA stands for needing shot in the fucking face, right? So, so these wee pricks attacked the Romans, not themselves, these wee Pharisees, cowardly, chicken-brained retards, right? They used, you know, barbarians and savages, you know, the kind of people you get in Govan and surrounding areas. So, and they attacked the Italians, but the Italians, man, you know, 10 can take on fucking 200 and just like carve fuck out of you while they're eating a pizza slice, you know, and watching the football. So, the point is, the Italians, the Romans, executed 3 waves, 3 completely different armies. These wee pygmy fucktards went away and got 3 different fucking wars they waged in a row against the Romans in a country that's got fuck all to do with them. They're pygmy fucking jungle-dwelling twats who were raped by fucking Egyptians and thankless wee pricks that Moses saved. The point is, the third time these spastics wouldn't take a telling by these Romans who said, fucking leave us the fuck alone. We just keep killing you, you wee Pharisee spastics. We are under orders from Rome to not kill you, and you're taking advantage of that. Right? You might as well have said, right? So, the Pharisees are like, this gives them immunity. So they got that third army together, man. And the Romans slaughtered them and then just went, yous are getting it, you wee pricks, because that's the accent the Romans had. And the thing is, they hunted these wee pricks, right, and off they went. And this is the start of your execution. Right? What happened was the Pharisees, they ran all the way around and eventually ended up, after hundreds of years of being told, get the fuck out of my country, you wee jabbering spastic. Get the fuck out of our country and don't come back, you jabbering spastic. You know, get the fuck out of our country and don't ever come back here again, you wee spastics. That went on for 700 years, right? Well, you know, the better part of it. And in the early 8th century, they were shot out of Turkey, who went, get the fuck out of our country, you jabbering spasmos, right? And they ended up in the arse crack between Turkey, Russia, and the spine of Mongolia. And there, they met their la 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 doo-doo-doo la 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 sha la 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 doo-doo-doo ba la 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 doo-doo-doo la 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 ba la 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 doo-doo-doo ba la 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 la. Aye, alright, for fuck's sake. They met the Kurds, right? And way. And the thing is, the Kurds were made for them. Right, that was the homosexual scene that took place when the Zionist Jews, the Pharisees, the Antichrists who had executed, assassinated Yehoshua of Nazareth, right? They met the Kurds in the arse crack of Georgia, essentially, right? And the Kurds were Jippo scum, right? Every day they just go, I'll fight you in the morning, I'll fight you in the evening, I'll fight you now, you wee poof. So anyway, basically the Kurds loved fighting, right? Getting people in headlocks and pushing out as offence was their idea of defence. You know, sometimes they would start fights just to keep up this image. They were barbarian, savage, brutal, right? And the Zionist Jews who'd lost all these battles and been kicked out of every country correctly for what they won't stop doing, right? Right? They're jabbering, evil, self-deluded, bullshitting. They are obsessed with deluding themselves. Their masterminds, they're as thick as shit. As I said, they use 4%. So, and they've got a fucking wedge of cheese for a forehead. They are not human, right? Remember, don't be anti-Semitical, right? In a nutcake, right? They met the Kurds and just said to them, would you like to be our fighters? Would you like to be our minders? Would you like to be our gang, you know? If so, we can help you, yeah? And so, the Kurds went, I'll fight you, I'll fight you. And the Jews said, look, here is some money, some cows, all the rest of it, blah, 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 blah. Just call yourself Jews and follow our lead. And what we'll do is we'll take over the entire world and get revenge for the way we've been correctly treated. Right? So, there you are. From that moment onward, these genocidal lunatics, really, who are responsible for, as I've said, the assassination of Yehoshua of Nazareth, quite literally, the descendants of the Antichrists, right? They met these Kurds, and from that moment onward, they enshrined, they tried to help each other, really, and they've been helping each other for the last 1300 years to execute you. And now they're executing you right now. So, I don't see how that's gone possible. That's why it's working, right? So, these wee sneaky bastards, right, got together with these Kurds. And this is eventually leading up to here, right? So they worked their way into several different countries, right? And they couldn't believe their fortune when the printing press was revealed. Then their pathological lies could be churned out constantly. When I was living in Denal Talks, I mean, every fucking couple of days, there was a credit card I couldn't even remember having with nothing on it. Fucking, and reams and reams of what Yehoshua of Nazareth was talking about. They make up fucking shite constantly. They are atom-splitting fucking jabbering spastics. Yeah, megalomaniacal psychopaths. That means this, that means that, that means this, that means that. They are jabbering imbeciles, right? And even when you say to them, you're 100% transparent. I see you, you dunce cunt. Unless you execute them, that means it is you who is me. And then they flee the scene. So the point I'm conveying is, this is what they've done since the printing press. They got their hands on that. They're monkeys, for fuck's sake, right? Semi-simian, rhesus monkey with a 3-year-old girl's brain, right? The vast majority of Jews have a female's brain. That's a fact, right? And a female's pathology, a poof's pathology. Females and poofs are the same thing. You know, they have a female brain. And sadly, there's an enormous growing number in the male column, you know, as well. It's predominantly female. I'm on a planet really predominated by your species who are predominantly female, right across the board in both sexes. It's predominantly female. However, you know, lesbians and men have in this 30% column definitely, you know, 100% male human brain. And these could be your saving graces. And like I say, 10% over here, you've got a human female brain, which is completely different from all that shite below them. And the same with the 10% of poofs, so I've got every sympathy with, because of that 90% of shite who prey on them, who are scum. And like I say, 2/3 of them are almost identical to these Zionist spastics, right? So, right, basically, the printing press allowed these wee pricks to print out their lies voluminously and take advantage of humans who were civilised, right, and being civilised, who just don't expect that volume of self-bullshitting, unself-aware, bestial, genocide-addicted paedophiles preying on them with constant lies that they affirm as though they believe, yeah, when they are pretending they believe, then pretending they don't believe, then pretending they believe that they didn't believe what they pretend they believe. They're jabbering spastics, right? And what I'm pointing out is that then this all led up to where they got a foothold in every country that didn't kick them out, right? And that was getting a foothold in London, getting a foothold in America, right, and getting a foothold everywhere they could, right? But it was really, really important. It was really, really important that they ended up here, right? Not without a fight. And this is where it all went tragically, terribly, 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 terribly wrong for everybody on earth, right? And so, just before World War I, right, this printing press shite, they got the bright idea, why don't we get a printing press that can print out money? This is a Jew's wet dream come true, you know. So anyway, the point is this, right, that they had rivals. Wherever they have rivals, I've gone, become your best friend, gone official and everything, I'm your best friend. Here's a ticket for the Titanic. It's an unsinkable boat, which allows the Jew giving you the ticket to believe it's a mastermind, because it's already, you know, it's controlled the mind of the captain, and it's already got another boat to crash into it, lined up, and then the whole story about the iceberg and all that shit. And it's already taken all the lifeboats off, except very, very few, knowing that women and children will be saved and the men will drown. Who's on the Titanic? Who gets the ticket from the dirty, subhuman, megalomaniacal Antichrists? Descendants. Well, the three main unwitting rivals who are 100% against the Federal Reserve! Right, so basically, they get on the Titanic. Lo and behold, this fucking furnace is burning all the way, right? And at that roasting hot section, this boat comes in and goes, right? The captain doesn't give a fuck. He's hypnotised, really, and this is what Jews are obsessed with. It's what St. Bram Stoker lampooned psychopaths with being obsessed with, deluding themselves. They're hypnotists. Right? Right? They have no self-awareness. St. Bram Stoker told you this, right? And in an upcake, that's my chooks. I don't know if you heard them. I love my chooks. In an upcake, right? They have no self-awareness, right? And because they believe they're controlling your perception of reality, as all poofs are obsessed with, as all females are obsessed with, they aggrandise themselves and cum sprays out their fucking ears. So they're not looking at themselves in the mirror, really, they can't see themselves, they're proud of themselves, they're an imbecile. They're looking at you being conned into this merry dance, right? And they have nothing but bad intention towards you, which allows them to ejaculate constantly in this flatlining chicken brain they've got that's got low levels of MAOA chemicals, as all of the most depraved so-called criminals in maximum security prisons provably have low levels of MAOA, which is why they want to excite themselves by exacerbating the innocent state of happiness of other self-regulating people who can make themselves happy, you know. And, you know, I may well have low levels of MAOA, but I don't try to torment other people to excite myself, because I'm not a fucking spuzzy. So anyway, here's the thing for you, you fool. So what happens is, their fucking unsuspecting rivals go down with the ticket. Here, I fucking was told this boat was unsinkable. I don't know what's going on here. Right? The very next minute, the Federal Reserve, right? Right? And a wee fucking monkey, right? A wee pharaoh fucktoy, churning it out. What is it? A licence to wage war. Oh, I do wonder if Kurds and Zionist Jews would get off on that. It would be the perpetuation of their ancient crap, right, going all the way back to Pharaoh, where they're essentially, anything that they think's forbidden turns them on, right? Anything, right? If we all said today, take our kids and fuck the arses off them, it's gone brillianted, we've all gone Nambla, right? They wouldn't want to fuck kids anymore, because it's not forbidden. Right? So they have these hang-ups in their head which are infantile, unself-aware hang-ups, really. Like every single homosexual and atheist I've ever had the misfortune of reading any garbage from, it's always this obsession with their projected imagination of what a Judeo-Christian God would be like, and a reflection of some kind of sadomasochistic oppression they've suffered in youth. And this is a rebel without a cause or a fucking clue, right? And they want to then act in the manner that everybody, without exception, who has their specific brain dysfunction and impairments manifest, that exact same behaviour, right? They have no self-awareness, they're all exactly the same, they're clones, and they essentially have what you would call a hive mind, like an insect, like an anthill, you know, however, anthills are benign by comparison. So in a nutcake, right, that printing press, the Federal Reserve, right, run exclusively by Zionist Jews, right, it immediately began World War I, right? So in America, right, World War I began, right? And the Zionist Jews in London, who had really got a firm footing as they were liaising with the Scots, the whole of Britain is actually Scotland, I'll expose that in Erol and Denell talks, and basically England's a front for Scotland. Behind that whole seat are paedophile scum Scottish reptiles. However, these Zionist Jews were in competition with these Scots, and eventually the Scots succumbed. And so the Zionist Jews are above the Scots now. The English are just a front, right? In second place there are these Scots. However, there's these Germans that have come in who are a rival for the Scots now. So Scots are being really crushed down, and essentially Jews have got to the stage now where they can say to the Scots, and they have said it to the Scots several decades ago, we've got a bigger gun, we're the daddy now, right? And the Scots just went and filled their drawers. So, and that's that, right? So that's what you get when you betray Wallace, you fucking scumbag cunts, you poofy inbred shite, you paedophile beasts, you fucking subhuman fucking garbage. I'm coming for your fucking plums, you wee bastard poofs. So anyway, here's the thing, right? Right? That was a compliment, incidentally. Right? I'm holding back, right? So what happened was, these wee pricks got a foothold in London. Now, what they did was, when they got a foothold there, they fucked off to America to be with their Kurdish pals, right? And Scotland, during that entire, during 2 campaigns of 2 world wars, just these mindlessly repeating garbage, right? Scotland was not bombed once. Not once. London was bombed strategically. Obviously America was not bombed at all. And Germany was bombed strategically, right? So in World War I, behind the scenes, I'll tell you what were happening, right? In Germany, right? They were infiltrating it, right? This is what they always do since the days of Caesar, right? They always send in spies, saboteurs, propaganda merchants, whores, murderers, thieves. That's what they are. They're Jippo scum. Every single story you've ever heard about a Jippo, you didn't want to believe. You know, they steal children in the night. They do the, you know, they go away playing their accordion, laughing their heads off. You know, it is all true, sadly. You know, it's based upon real life events, you know. And so, these wee pricks sent in their agent provocateurs where from? Right? America. America is 50% German, you know. The vote to choose a language for that country, it was 49% chose German and 51% chose English, and so it's now an English-speaking country. But obviously 49% of people there were German. And once again, these little jealous, greedy spastics who are living there got jealous of Germany, right? And Germany's independent success, which was made a consistent number of roughly about 3 million Jews, right? 3 million Jews were in Germany. And so World War I was just the Jews having a wank fantasy, a huge celebration of starting the Federal Reserve so they can now wage indefinite war, indefinite wanks, right? Which is a really good description of a Zionist Jew, right? An indefinite wank. So after that, right, they went obviously to start World War II, exactly like Iraq 1, Iraq 2. It's all the same fucking pish, right? They are wankers, junky wankers who pretend they're in league with Satan and all this kind of shite, you know, and classify themselves as being fucking, you know, a chosen elite race of inbred spastics, right? And the Scots are of the same imbecility, and they all worship these hollow pyramids, you know, going all the way back to fucking Akhenaten. You can keep your hat on. So the thing is, in a nutcake, right? Behind the scenes, very important, Hitler and Berserker Bampot, what do they have in common? the answer. They were groomed from birth to destroy your country. You right with that? Groomed from birth to destroy your country. Right? Now, Hitler, behind the scenes, the exact same as Stalin, he was a 3-year-old female in a human skull, right? With a semi-simian rhesus monkey brain combined. And so he was essentially a talking bonobo, right? Very, very Jewish, right? Why do I say this? Well, I've been saying on Zionist YouTube for 3 years that Hitler was a fucking Jew, right? He was an Austrian Jew. His mother was, I think Maria, I think her first name was, and her last name was Schickelgruber, right? The kind of thing you would shout when you stand on a plug, in your bare feet in the night, you know, the upturned plug. It's always a test of how happy you are in life when you stand on an upturned plug and you laugh. I always laugh, right? So, Schickelgruber, what was she? Where was she? What was she all about, right? So, Hitler's granny, right? Right? Hitler's granny, right? Schickelgruber, she was Austrian and she fucked off to Germany to work as an au pair, right? So she worked in the house of Rothschild, right, as this au pair. So Rothschild looks for signs of vulnerability. And she's like, And then the next night, And then the next night, she's like, So after that, I was pure and simple, born in a world before world wars began. So basically, she gets impregnated by Rothschild, right? And she's then sent packing because she's gone preggers, isn't she? She's gone preggers, right? And preggers, please, pap. So she goes back to Austria, a shamed woman, right? However, for 14 years on record, a wealthy Jew, the Rothschild, sends her checks for 14 fucking years for Alwaz, for his upbringing. And so, for 14 years, she has these checks being sent to Austria, right? However, all the people in Austria said Alwaz was very, very different from everybody else. He was always industrious, always troublemaking. He would sometimes fart on camera, and before cameras were invented. And the point I'm conveying is, right, he was so different because he was genetically different. He was part pygmy fucktard. And so basically, he eventually had enough of the rumours and all the rest of it, and he's a bit bent. And so he fucked off early and fucked off to Germany, right? And he was a paedophile. And so he hooked up pretty early with a priest at a black mass and said to the priest, listen, we have this ring that I'm in. How about this? We look at the births and death register, and there's a farmer who's just died. How about you change his date of birth to my date of birth, and then just give me the farm and I'll give you a tithe, So they did that. And that's how Alwaz Heidler became a wealthy man. However, he also had this link to the Rothschild, who was keeping tabs on all these little bastards. So the point being, right, he then becomes very, very successful and hooks up with all these wee kind of occultist spastics in Germany. Now, it's no coinkydink, right? He eventually knocks up a bird and has Adolf Hitler, who then changed his name to Adolf Hitler, right? And this is now the grandson of Rothschild, who is a Kurdish Ashkenazi Jew. Now, Hitler was groomed his whole fucking life. Groomed being a very important word, remember it, right? His whole life told, look, you're the grandson of a very, very fucking wealthy Jew, right? Who is a pretty bad man. So he felt untouchable. He felt he could do anything, right? So he was a beast, Hitler. A real fucking beast. He was a bisexual, in other words, a really superficial sexual deviant. There's no such thing as a homosexual. It's just a really superficial sexual deviant, and they either have the wrong brain for their body or the right brain for their body. Either way, they're a superficial pervert. Fact, 90% of homosexuals are witting perverts. The remaining 10% are unsurprisingly, very dreadfully misled by the Jews. And all they would point out is, I said unsurprisingly. So, in a nutcake, right? Don't look around the room, don't look around the world. There's not really a gigantic paedophile ring murdering you right now, right? Basically, so Adolf Hitler, ergo Hitler, in the end, felt untouchable. So what he did was, he, like all these pieces of shit, were obsessed with this occult mind control crap. It doesn't work on me, right? Because at best I'll just reflect you like a mirror. You know, have you ever seen a mirror go, I've hurt my own head even looking at you, cow? You know, no, it just reflects you and says, your shit's garbage. Your shit is garbage. Right? So basically, Hitler wanted a mirror and to see what he could do to that person. Meanwhile, Stalin's doing the fucking exact same thing. Right? They're all exactly the fucking same. And he was planted there by Jews. Stalin. Yeah, he's a scumbag cunt. Fuck his name. The point I'm conveying to you is Adolf tried what's known as ambient abuse on 2 of his girlfriends. One was his relative. And he's fucking the arse off her, but he wasn't attracted to her. He was bisexual, but he preferred perversion, right, as his ancestors do. And in a nutcake, he just got off on trying to constantly trigger her amygdaloid cortex, right? So for example, if she reached for something, he would say, stop that! Right? She'd just reach for something, stop it! You know, and she would say, I love you. I'm leaving you! Right? But I love you. You know, he would always be constantly trying to trigger her amygdala. Right? Right? What can I pretend I believe that she chooses to trigger her own amygdala for? What can I pretend I believe that she'll choose to trigger her own amygdala because of? Constantly. Right? So in the end, Stalin's doing that with his girlfriend, and without knowing each other, both their girlfriends shot themselves through the heart. By choice. They were suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and it's really, really tragic. It's what all psychopaths are obsessed with. It's why St. Bram Stoker portrayed Dracula. You know, the person allows themselves to be drained to death, right? And they're basically sex offenders, and they pride their chicken brain on being a psychological abuser, because you can't bring yourself to believe they're wearing the mask of sanity, right? That they are completely nuts. They're lunatics. All lunatics are sex offenders. All sex offenders ain't fucking human. Right? Fact. So, right? 2/3 of females and 2/3 of poofs ain't fucking human. 1/3 of so-called lesbians and 1/3 of so-called men ain't fucking human, provably. Right? Their emotional intelligence tests prove they haven't developed beyond infancy, and their brain scans show, fuck me, they're the same function as an animal. Fact. Yeah. And these pieces of shite want to take over the world and drag you back into the fucking ancient Egyptian and Peruvian times. They're fucking scum. Right? And because of their desperation to get a steady supply of children into their rings of paedophiles, they opiate you, dupe you, fucking try and hypnotise you, tell you that you are what they are, make up these Zionist buzzwords so that you are scared of telling the fucking truth. Yeah, try and con you out of knowing. Right, so Adolf, groomed to get away with this, he felt untouchable, right? So he killed 2 females the exact same way, right? He then goes into the city, right, in Germany, the exact same way Berserker Bamport did, right? The thing they have in common, groomed from birth to destroy the country, feeling untouchable, they both became bathhouse homosexual male prostitutes. And I know for a fact Adolf got into paedophilia, right? Paedophilia makes me want to feel you, right? Genuinely, that's what Adolf was all about. However, poofs, when they find someone they can really surrender to, right? They go all out like oh man, they're hideous, right? Oh, they're hideous. Oh, they're fucking hideous, right? This be ba la 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 la. I'm not doing that again. Right, the thing is, right? Oh my god. I'm going to do the best impression of Hitler in recorded history, right? Not only Hitler, but Edward Heath, who's the most evil guy of recent history. Edward Heath. And Tony Blair, the most evil person alongside Gordon Brown, who you should execute now, right? Desmond Tutu, a remarkably moral man, calling for his execution, and George Bush, what the fuck are you waiting for? I've written an invitation from God. Right? How about one from a living Christ? Yeah? Resurgence hominidi! Anyway, thing is, that's right. The greatest impression of Hitler of all time, right? The best one I ever saw was by a Jewish Scottish comedian whose name escapes me because I'm really good with names. Jerry Sadowitz. And he did this you know, and he also did a good Billy Connolly impression, you know. Very much like a wee brown jobby. I was sitting in the toilet the other day and I looked down and looked at my willy. I looked at my willy and I thought to myself, it looks like a bird's eye view of Einstein. So I moved his nose to one side. It's like a chipolata. I've been taken off a fucking old man. And then I looked down the toilet and there was a wee brown jobby. So anyway, basically I didn't realise that Connolly stole his entire act from Richard Pryor, who was a phenomenal comedian. Maybe not interpersonally that great a guy, but you know, bitch, shut your fucking pie hole and shut the fuck up. You know, he was just brilliant. So the point is, in a nutcake, right? Hitler, right? I'm going to do the impression of him. No one's ever done it before, right? You ready? And I've never seen myself there, right? Back on camera and like that. You ready? This is the best impression of Hitler in recorded history. It's my way of letting you know exactly what he is. And you see Edward Heath show it, and to a lesser extent, you still see it on Tony Blair. You ready? Right. Right, that's the best impression of Hitler in recorded history. Right, now you'll be able to see that in black and white stuff. He's a 3-year-old girl who is a male bathhouse prostitute laughing stock. The best way to see Hitler's from behind, right? If you excuse the innuendo. The point is, everything was just like a 3-year-old girl who's being loved and groomed and all these different things, right? So, when he's in the bathhouse, he would do anything for these 3 leading homosexual... Hitler, go and stand on top of the table and show us your arsehole and stick a candle up it and light it and laugh. And he would... and he would do it for them. He wasn't this serious fucking guy at all. I mean, pictures have surfaced of him recently, but he's like... right? He was a buffoon. That's what all megalomaniacal Jews are. They are fucking buffoons. Behind it all, they are actually... they want to be loved as a 3-year-old girl in a fantasy world. Fact, right? But they are evil. And they want somebody who dominates them. And if you take their shit seriously, then they'll get worse and worse. Right? Because they go straight down the middle. Right? And... get a hole in one. So, the point I'm conveying to you is this, right? But these poofs are like eternal gamblers. Like, well, if you don't want to do that, then get the fuck out of our company. Right? So he loved this because these people were indomitable. Because they know he is what they are. But he's like, hasn't developed beyond 3 and they've developed to 5. But they're all in on it. Right? This is the gay mafia that brought World War II around. Now, before this, obviously, Rothschild is working everything behind the scenes. He's sending carrier pigeons out like the fucking earliest internet. And he's working everything from behind the scenes. But, you know, when the cat's away, the mice play. So, Berserker Bampot, you can find his boyfriends, you know, mouthing off constantly on YouTube about him. And he murders them routinely. Adolf, right, he was doing the exact same thing, waiting for his moments, you know. So, at some juncture, they hit upon the bright idea that Adolf should go to prison. And then write a hit book. And then be portrayed as a struggling artist, you know. All shite, right? You know, it's like Adam Kokesh is a Zionist Jew who needs shot in the face, right? His story is crap, right? And he wants to be, you know, the modern day fucking Adolf, but Berserker Bampot got ahead of you there, you wee dick. The point is, so there's Adolf, right? he's now being portrayed, when behind the scenes he's like sticking candles up his arse going, and Edward Heath, if you see videos of him, because he can't fucking believe he's getting to murder children and eat them constantly. That big fat fucking beast, right? And Tony Blair, you can see that less obvious because he's wearing the mask of sanity a bit better than those two lunatics, but Hitler's the best one to see. And I think it was at Olympic Games he showed that face, and I'll never forget it, you know. I think the famous black athlete, great with names, waved him, and this is what to his gay daddies, you know. So anyway, these sadomasochism addicted, mind control, pathological lying, self-deluded, harebrained pieces of garbage who are obsessed with controlling your mind, right? Obsessed with rubbing your nose in it, goading you about it. Unless you dominate them, unless you can completely live without them, they've no respect for you, right? And so they will try and kill you. If you give even an inkling of a trick that it can play, it will. Even if it secretly idealises you and wants to be in a relationship with you. The long and the short of it is, right? So, Rothschild is moving things along rapidly, and like all these dunce cunts do, they blow up the Reichstag, you know, they sink the Titanic, you know, they bring down the Twin Towers. It's always the exact same fucking shit, yeah, right? And of course, the sad reality is a lot of Germans were dead set against this prick, and it comes out in that name, Nazi. There's no such thing as the Nazi Party, right? No such thing, right? They were National Socialists, so an abbreviation to insult them was Nazi, right? That was one reason why they were called Nazis, but they did not call themselves Nazis. It's like insulting yourself to call yourself a Nazi, right? They were National Socialists, so they called themselves, right? Always just tell the exact opposite. What they were country-destroying, sadomasochism addicted, homosexual, megalomaniacal psychopaths. 3-year-old girls spliced with a fucking monkey's brain, being shot in the fucking face, needing shot dead, right? However, right, nobody knew what these wee pricks were up to behind the scenes, right? And, but some in the know did, right? So, which is why they had them like portrayed as wearing pink, you know, the pink Nazi party and all that. And also there were other definitions of Nazi. One was, it was German for like Nazi, right? So that was another clue to the masses what they were like. So that was another reason why Nazi stuck. The other one was because they knew Rothschild was his grandfather, who was an Ashkenazi Jew. So basically, as I said earlier, they'd infiltrated Germany with all these spies and buggers and lunatics, right? And they had taken from this country X amount of Germans, right? And thrown them in. And what they'd done was they were trying to starve Germans to death, really, to try and get them to fight against the incumbent Jew, who was a bit of an asshole, but they were being encouraged to be more of an asshole by the planted Jews who were forcing the price of bread to astronomical heights that nobody could afford, and then pressing sadomasochistically on them if they make their own bread. Just like in America right now, if you try and make your own food or anything like that, they come down you like a ton of pricks, right? So they're all homosexuals and need to be exterminated. Fact, right? So, like I say, there's 10% of homosexuals who are wonderful guys and blah, 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 blah. But, like I say, the real culprits are what you would call homosexual, right? They are superficial, perverted, sadomasochism, mind control obsessed, fucking scum, chicken brain, true self-loathing, self-deluded fucking garbage, needing gunned down now, right? So, I can't have got that a wee bit wrong. You know, I'm the world's leading light on psychopathy. I've even fucked serial killers in every way you could think of. It's like lying face down in a fucking frozen tundra. So, and the thing is this, right? So this is all going on behind the scenes, all this shite, right? And then they blow up their staff building, as they tend to do. These baby go boom, daddy go bye-bye, right? And that's their mentality, right? And then everything's went bam bam. This is their excuse then to murder millions of people, right? You see John Kerry, who's a Zionist Jew, needing shot in the face, big fucking monster spastic, right? You see him right now going, those people over there, are guilty of what we're guilty of. So that's our excuse to go and kill them all. Right? Shoot John Vick, just shoot him in the face and you'll find the bullets just bounce off. But the point I'm conveying is, right, you need to execute John Kerry and all of them, right? He is a evil liar, right? He's deceiving you in order to commit countless volumes of evil, and they've invaded Syria, and I know for a fact they've infiltrated and decayed and demoralised that country already. So they've got the same thing going on in there that they got going on in here and in Hate Britain. And what I'm pointing out to you is, right, so this economy is adversely affected, and what these Zionist Jews are doing, like all serial killers, pick up the gun.
But you shoot me, sir.
Pick up the gun.
But if I pick it up, you're just gonna shoot me.
I want to come harder and pretend you're to blame. It makes me come harder. And then the wee guy goes and picks the gun up and he shoots him. And then he pretends the guy deserved it, had it coming, brought it on himself and was asking for it. So what are the Zionist Jews doing in America? They're trying to get the Germans to turn against the Jews in Germany, whom these Zionist Jews here fucking hate. And the Zionist Jews who were also in London stirring shit up there and talking to Churchill, who was a paedophile, who summed up Hitler excellently, and I'll come back to it. He was talking about himself, projective identification. He said he was the repository of every type of fucking evil and unresolved hatred and true self-loathing and just self-destruction conceivable in one little mad 3-year-old girl. So he was talking about himself, but it was perfect, you know, really, the way he summed it up. And because he's renouncing and denouncing himself and saying it's somebody else that he is. And so he was up to the exact same shit, trying to sink ships and all the rest of it. Scumbag Churchill, you know, he used to run about shooting darkies for fun. Find that, it's a fact. So all I'm pointing out to you is, right, that basically so the Jew in America, right, is trying to get the innocent German to hate Jews, right, so they can then say they deserved it, they picked up the gun, they had it coming, brought it themselves and asking for it. Think about that for magical thinking, right? Right? Pretending you're not to blame, just extra sauce on the hate ejaculate, right? You know, Jack Palance, you know, hate ejaculate, right? And what I'm pointing out to you is that so eventually the Germans did get pretty fucked off with this, you know, but they took so much. These Zionist Jews can't believe how much you take, right? Because they push you and try and pull legs off the spider, right? But you're meant to go, fuck you. Oh, please like us, right? But you don't. You surrender meekly and demoralise yourself easily, especially when they target the weak link females, right? I'll come back to them. So, in a nutcake, so the German is eager to be freed from this shit, right? So they put you under this oppression, then we're the saviour after having oppressed you to that extent, and they've got you divided now. You hate the fucking Jew. However, 1 million German conscientious objectors, right? 1 million true Aryan, true beautiful, tall, blonde men and women who were human. In Russia, under Stalin, there was over 60 million such beautiful people, humans. They were all exterminated, and you never hear about them from the fucking Jewish cunts who done it, right? So, these Aryans were running around going, "Was ist das? He's a little mad poof. You know, his grandfather is a Jew. This is all bullshit. He is a bathhouse homosexual retard. You cannot do this. He is mental," right? Now, what Hitler was doing constantly was narcissistically grooming, just like he'd done with his dead girlfriends, grooming them, right, to think, promising them the world with every intention of trying to push them over the edge, right? So he's grooming this whole nation going, und? Now, why is it Hitler does this? Why is it every single motherfucker in Germany is photographed going, Why? What is that all about? What could possibly be in it for them? Right? What is it they're thinking when they're looking to the sky and have their hand in the air? Right? What is up there? The answer is their imaginary self-image. Right? He's telling them that they are Aryan blonde beauties and tall. Right? He's a short, 5 foot tall, homosexual, greasy fucking brunette who's as ugly as fuck, wearing fucking piss-stained, cum-stained, genuinely cum-stained jodhpurs and a fucking adult diaper, bleeding from the arse and ejaculating because he's a fucking lunatic, right? Right? The previous demographics I'll not repeat are all lunatics and lunatics, right? And they're all protected by made-up buzzwords like feminism, homophobia, yeah, fucking authority defiance derangement, you know, right? They're all retards, right? And sex offenders, it's a fucking beyond any concept of disgrace, really, for children to not know this is what so-called adults are. They are scum that daren't tell the truth about their true self in front of children. I can. The point is this. So, meanwhile, while he's grooming these Germans, and what they'd done was completely get rid of Jewry altogether and replaced it with government bonds. So basically you got paid for what you worked for, so next thing you can suddenly feed yourself. So you're over the moon, you're full of food, you can buy chocolate and bread, and basically you're working like fuck. Now you're full of joy, and these Jews who are oppressing you, who are encouraged to do that as well, they're getting led off in cattle trains. However, every single German turned a blind eye to the Aryan beauties they were existentially jealous of. Because if you groom a wee fucking brunette fucking spasmo to believe it's Aryan and beautiful, and it's not Aryan or beautiful, right? Hitler wasn't either Aryan or beautiful, right? Right? And the long and the short of it is, he was very, very ugly all the way to his rotten core, and his daft wee pals behind him. And the point I'm conveying is, right, so when you groom people to believe there's something they're fucking not, right, they then want to take out their great expectations, great disappointments on somebody else. They're incontinent. That sums up, you know, the vast majority of people, 80% of people on average are emotionally incontinent scum, right? Right? And he knew this, right? The Zionist Jews know this, right? So they groomed everybody in Germany to believe they were tall, blonde, Aryan beauties. So when they're going, right, when they're looking to the heavens, they're seeing themselves as these tall, blonde Aryans who are being led off in fucking cattle trains to the genuine concentration camps, while the Jews are being led out to the fucking shoreline to start the imaginary country of Israel to get revenge against the fucking Romans. So, in a nutcake, right, these wee brunette skunk cunts, right, just like Hitler, are imagining themselves in the fucking sky, right? So all these guys running about going, listen, I'm a good guy, I'm getting led away here, for fuck's sake, what's going on here, right? They turned a blind eye, right? I proved that in denial talks. You know, there's two ways of doing it as a social experiment. There's two ways of telling somebody something they should have the right reaction to. You can say to them, listen, incidentally, I've discovered there's a paedophile ring that basically hires rings of sex offenders that close in and close in and close in. They're all in collusion with one another, and they release lunatics to prey on you, who'll also pepper these perches if they can, and they'll exacerbate the body of humans in the middle as well, and then you'll be dragged into a dungeon system if you say anything about it, as happened over 60 million times in Russia, where they were told they're lunatics and murdered by the lunatics. If you say that to the average person in Scotland, they might listen to you. They'll not do anything about it. right? And basically, however, one of my experiments was to say to them, listen everybody, listen, I've discovered there's a paedophile ring, and basically it's complicit with rings and rings of sex offenders, right? And your pre-elected politicians are nodding blackmail paedophiles, and then the sociopath work department hoover children, single mums who believe in feminisms, fucking houses and into this paedophile ring, and the police farce are meant to be yours, but these subhuman scumbag, to maintain what they hope is their position, which they think's untenable, they are siding with these blackmail paedophiles who they're scared of, and the landed paedophiles behind them, and they'll drag you in a dungeon system or section you if you send about it. So if you do this social experiment like that, you see people as they fucking are. That's all I'm going to say. So, in a nutcake, I'm an awful one for my social experiments. Nonetheless, no matter how these Aryans conveyed that information, right? They turned the brunettes turned a blind eye because they were existentially jealous scum. So this was an anti-human culling program, thus breeding more psychopaths. As the obvious conscientious objector is obviously human, they have moral componentry to their brain and self-awareness, right? And they've no jealousy, they're just like human and humane. So they cull the very people they're saying the Germans are, and the Germans go along with it, yet more reason for the Zionist Jews to say, you fucking deserve it. Right? Now, while this is happening, Hitler is obviously peeved at being found out as what he is, right? He's standing in front of people ejaculating, and so he wants to hide the trail that his opposition are obsessed with trying to reveal him with, and so through. And so he kills most of his opposition, but what he does is he fucks off to Austria and gets the secret police to destroy the entire town that his mother, Schicklgruber, comes from. Completely destroyed, and every single scrap of it except, I think, one gravestone from that town. And he gets rid of the birth certificates. He doesn't want anyone to know that he's Ashkenazi. He doesn't want anyone to know about Rothschild. Rothschild's behind all this, right? And the best way, like I say, to see Hitler is from behind, because I want you to think about the three mad poofs who are behind him, whom he's performing for. You don't matter a fuck to Berserko Bampot. All that matters are the mad poofs behind him, who are having a great laugh at your expense, right? As he does the exact same thing as Hitler did. Hitler was ejaculating because the magical thinking spastic was fully cognizant that he's destroying the whole of Germany, and they don't know, which is why he's ejaculating. Well, he's dancing. Yeah, it's like some fucking morning show, you know, with there's Mr. Motivator, and the three poofs are behind him going, fuck's sake, this is proof we are masterminds with chicken's brains. This is well proof. Look at him, they don't know he's our wee butt boy. He sticks candles up his arse and that's what we tell him to do. Right? So, Jack Palance, eat your heart out. The point I'm conveying is, if you look at it from those mad poofs' point of view, they're looking at this wee dancing fucktard, and nobody knows he's just a mad poof who's a Chicago bathhouse crack pipe smoking homosexual paedophile. Right? Is Berserko Bampot a paedophile? Hitler was. Right? Berserko Bampot certainly murders children on a regular basis. Right? Right? He's a fucking retard with a 3-year-old girl's brain between his ears, right? Who lies pathologically. And Hitler, he routinely said, I'm lying to you. I'm lying to you. It's enormous lies. With cum shooting out of his fucking chicken brain. Right? Ejaculating. Right? Stroking little boys' heads. Blonde boys while he's sending tall blondes to the gas chambers. They weren't gas chambers, right? It's a lot of shite. They were just shot, dead. And the Jews who were taken out, as I've said, were put in concentration camps to then be displaced after the war and plopped right into Canaan, right into Palestine. And they pushed them all out to there, right? Now, not all these motherfuckers were in it by any stretch, right? However, if you go back to the printing press, you get the idea, right? You'll find Jews for hundreds of years, right, have been talking shite using the same pity play. You can go back hundreds of years, find them saying, everybody wants to do the killing of us. Everybody wants to do a killing of us, right? And they always say, they want to kill 6 million of us. For hundreds of years they've been saying that. Check it out. Hoist by their own petard. Take that, megalomaniacal Jewish spastics. So, here's the thing, right? So, there weren't 6 million Jews in Germany, there was 3. And Hitler said, right, 1.5 million you can get to fuck, right? The other 1.5 million were necessary, because that's all that would fit in, they believed, into Palestine. So this is the Jews' inroad back to getting revenge against old enemies, right? And old wounds and ancient pish prophecies of their satanic so-called paedophile ring, right? And so in a nutcake, right? These Jews are shoved out there. Now, any Jew who died, it was from fucking typhoid. They were being deliberately kept alive and out of fucking harm's way. And only specific buildings were bombed, right? For example, all the big American companies in Germany were not fucking touched. None of them, right? And it was all the American companies who were funding this shite from the start, because who was behind it? The fucking Nazi Jews, right? Behind it. The Kurds and the Pharisees, the anti-fucking Christ, were funding the whole fucking thing, right? So, right? And the fucking Bush family, right? So, amongst all that shite and Ford and all these crap companies of all run by fucking Jewish scum, right? And like I say, there's some wonderful Jews, blah, 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 blah. But the majority of people who are famed throughout these years are all scum. If you only knew. And so, in a nutcake, so these Germans are obviously planted there, and they get a buy, and they all get rushed out just before the country's going to be fucking totaled. So Hitler's done his quota of wanking. Simultaneously, over here, what you've got right now is Berserko Bampot making up countless thousands of rules, exactly as St. Old Les told me donkeys years ago, right? And showed me this video where it was flashing all these made-up rules, coming out thousands of made-up rules, exactly as Yehoshua of Nazareth had said about these Pharisee spastics, exactly as you get in your credit cards slips getting put through your door constantly as made-up shite, right? This is what their autistic perception of reality, right? They don't exist in reality. They've got no frontal brain function. They're lunatics, right? And lunatics, right? Because behind a lot of these wars, right, except the female brain and the male body, there's also the female who's got the female brain, or conversely the male brain. And they're at it as well. They're horrible scum, right? And they're obsessed with, like I say, projective identification and you deserving it. Pick up the gun. They're obsessed with transference. Any bad feeling they have, they're giving you bad feeling. It makes these lunatics feel better. And lunatics. And then trading places, right? Trading places, right? So you had the Jew at one juncture lording it over the German, then you have the German lording it over the Jew, right? You have the human who's living cheek to jowl, no problem with these motherfuckers, they're being executed, right? And then you have these Jews taken and displaced, right? And the trading places thing, they just love this crap, right? They're imbecile, evil fucking chicken brain garbage, right? So, right, what happens? Hitler acts out as long as he can. He has everyone executed. He has his home fucking town of his grandmother fucking flattened. He doesn't want anybody to know his link to his Ashkenazi Rothschild family grandfather. And basically, the Dresden was carpet bombed. Right? Now you think about all those people seeing themselves in the air as being Aryans who are being led off in cattle trains behind them, not giving a fuck. They got what they deserved. They did get what they fucking deserved. Alright, they were groomed to that extent. But nonetheless, you get what you fucking deserve. In Denal Talks, I told two camps of people. One camp of people calmly, what I'll be revealing in my next video, Erol and the Police Farce Arrest 2. And I told another camp in a kind of hammed, panicked way. And in both instances, they couldn't have given a lesser fuck because they were happy. They were They enjoyed this because they'd been jealous of me, no matter how good I'd been to them, no matter how selfless, no matter how much money I'd saved them, no matter how much hard work I'd put into things. It doesn't matter to them. I'd saved countless children's lives, and that's all I was working for. I sacrificed countless things they would never have overlooked. I tried to help them. In many instances, I saved their life, helped their businesses blossom, stayed on the phone for hours with them free of charge. No IT guy drawing breath would have done that back in that time. That was what my company was at the time. So on and so forth. It means fuck all to these animals, right? And so you get what you deserve. And remember, when these incrementally evil motherfuckers see that you turn a blind eye to the Aryan, you're fucking next, you daft cunt. Yeah. So that's what happened. Now you think about Glasgow. Imagine standing in Glasgow, right? And I know where Glasgow is, right? Right? If you're going towards the bars, right, there's a railway bridge on the right hand side, right? And I think there's still a chip shop on the left hand side just before it. In the left angle there, in the 1970s, it was filled with soot. That's Glasgow. Right, everybody's got their wee bit that they think, aye, maybe looking down for a hill in Sauchiehall Street, you know, that's Glasgow. And yeah, in a nutcake, imagine standing there in Glasgow, right, any part of Glasgow you think's Glasgow, right, and when you're standing there, over your head, right, and a wee woman who's walking down the street with her kid, she's blown to smithereens, and a guy who's walking in the other direction towards her goes right through a shop front window, right? And then next thing, all these famous landmarks, the clock tower, that bridge, fucking up the road there, all these cars are fucking blowing in the air like matchbox cars, and these fucking landmarks are coming down, right? And you're standing there with fucking breeze blocks flying over your head, you're just lucky, right? Imagine that happening in Glasgow right now. You think, fuck, that's impossible. So did everybody in Dresden. Yay! Who's waving 3 Nurembergs in a row, right? They thought this was impossible, right? Right? Imagine being in Dresden. You know, picture your hometown, your home city, and right? They didn't have to do that. Nor did they have to drop bombs on Hiroshima or Nagasaki. I worked out they want to live ultimately in Japan with everybody else dead on the planet, which is why they've done dreadful things to Japan for so long. The point is, baby go boom, daddy go bye bye, right? This is what they're all about. It's a harder ejaculate, and so I hate ejaculate. It's pretend revenge. I call it pretenge, right? They are consumed with hatred. They are these fucking hate-consumed, nitwitted fucking self-deluded pieces of garbage because they want to be loved, but they're hate. Yeah. And they think hate's an act, and I've seen it in all these motherfuckers. They act out their hatred. It's not an act. That's who they truly are. If you don't overcome and you succumb, that's what you become. Fuck them. So, like I say, imagine your hometown, your home city being blown to fuck wherever you are, right? And everybody being blown to fucking pieces in front of you. That's exactly what happened to those groomed narcissists who turned a blind eye to conscientious objectors like myself, being led off in cattle trains to genuinely be executed, along with people who had like one eye and fucking, you know, just like a gammy leg or something. And whilst the Jews were taken out of harm's way. And after that was all done, Hitler fled the scene, right? And he fucked off to Bermuda or some place like Belize or something. And he lived there quite happily in disguise. And there's photographs of him, you know, with his latest fuck toy that he's trying to destroy. And meanwhile, these Jews are taken under the auspice of pity play, right? And put in allegedly what has always been Israel, right? Israel has never fucking been. There's been Canaan, right? That changed its name to Palestine. That's it, right? But you are told
Look at what must never happen again.
Right? Since I was a fucking child, right, I've got a really good memory. Not like a megalomaniacal psychopath, but however, give me enough time. Yet, here's the thing. Since I was a nipper,
It must never happen again.
a tattoo on the arm of completely different Jews. Countless footage for over 4 decades I've seen of completely different Jews showing a tattoo on the wrist. Right? How the fuck can all these people have survived? Right? There's 3 million, 1.5 million fuck off, 1.5 million are then put in Israel. Going back in texts,
6 million.
all bullshit.
It must never happen again.
And I've seen about fucking 6 million who've got this fucking tattoo on their wrist. How's it possible for all these survivors, if 6 million were killed, and there was only 3 million, 1.5 of them provably left, and then the remaining 1.5 were then put into Canaan, Palestine. Right? And since then have genocided the Palestinians. Surprise, surprise. This hair-splitting, evil, leg-pulling, autistic, atom-splitting, hate-consumed, determined paedophile ring of self-deluded wank club. A paedophile ring is a wank club. They form a ring around a child and wank.
I can't wait till it's my turn, little wee girl.
Well, it's predominantly 90% of the time it's a boy. Right, all that's the rulers of your world. Not mine, as you may fucking well have gathered. Right, check it out. I'm a living Christ. Right, we walk into your temples and we say, "Fuck you," on record. Yeah.
Coinkydink or free will? Let's find out. Happy birthday, fucktard. You're 5 again.
So here's the thing, right? Right? We walk up to your occupying army and we say, "Fuck what you are, you fucking scumbag." Right? I'm on record. How come I can commit every so-called law, break every so-called law? How can I commit what they would call a crime? Every single one of them, you know, that they would call law is total shite, as Yehoshua of Nazareth was obsessed with saying till they nailed him to a tree. I've proven, right? I've walked into your kangaroo courts and went, right? I've walked up to your police farce and went, right? Repeatedly, 7 different police farces. Right? Told them exactly what I thought to their face, in writing, indelibly, and enraged them and fucking tormented them. Then flew out of there, "I'm leaving on a jet plane," and ended up in paradise. Coinkydink. You love the end conclusion of Yehoshua of Nazareth when I'd cover that. And Erol on Constantine the Great, can't wait. Here's the thing, right? Right? So, all that shite, the length of lie, the big lie that Hitler was wanking about, right? Also, that they could put themselves back in Canaan, where Moses had put them in. All that for that, right? Now, here, Berserko Bampot, right? What he's done is, he's sacked all of your top brass and your armies. He has removed all your nuclear weapons. Right? He's armed ring after ring of the same garbage you could find even when Dresden was carpet bombed. You still saw these determined pieces of garbage going through the rubble looking for people who were resistors against the gay mafia. And think about the lunacy of that, right? Still pursuing innocent people after your home city's been bombed. Right? You can find photographs of them running with fucking devil dogs, right? Yeah, can't catch me, you fucking Jews. So thing is this, right? Who goes into Germany after it's carpet bombed? A Jewess, right? Right? On the back of a tank. And because Stalin had suffered a nervous breakdown, and she wanted to ride in as a conquering hero of this fucking made up shite that these imbeciles go over to con you into their pity plays to perpetuate their genocide of the whole species, right? So, in America, you're seeing the exact same thing happening, right? Incidentally, Eustace Mullins will give you her name. I'm not good with names, or I'm not perfect with chronology either. Can't even say it. So, the point is, but I'm not sure about his nephew at all. But Eustace Mullins, bang on. And the conclusion I'm pointing out to you is, she came in then, marauding, and all these wee Germans who'd come from here fucked off back in a hurry, and the remaining Germans who thought they were in it, pursuing their own, right? Who'd rounded up the Aryans, who turned a blind eye to themselves being carpet bombed, are still pursuing innocent people after Dresden's been carpet bombed. The Allied forces came in, right? And who'd been in it from the start with this Jewess. She's like, ah! And she comes in with Russian rapists, and they just fucking go mental. And so all those people who are loving pretending they're Aryan, along with the wee cow's lick greasy fucktard, next thing, they're face down in the rubble, being raped until their arsehole splits into their vagina and they're left with a split arse, right? These Russians just raped like fuck, because don't forget, in Russia the Bolshevik Jews were executing up to over 60 million humans. That all it leaves you then is a country of fucking savage, brutal lunatics and imbeciles. However, in the next generation, fortunately, some humans will resurface. What I've noticed is, in Germany, when humans surface going, they seem to have been born in the Stone Age, they're taken away and done in. Even if they flee the country, they're brought back and done in. The same thing's happening. The narcissists are not caring. They're quite happy because they were jealous of them, no matter how good those people were to them, even if they were teachers, even if they were kind and generous. As I'll show you in Erol and Constantine the Great, how horrid so-called human nature is. It's not human nature. It's the primitive, mindless brutality and greed and selfishness and dishonesty and cruelty and sexual desire of the fucking beast in human form. Because that's what it is, you know. Evolution, it takes 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Right? 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? However, I'm from the fucking future. I'm this fucking enormous leap. Yehoshua was from the future. He had different genes, you know. And that can be a hybrid that's great, or it can be a hybrid that's shite, right? And in my case, it's brilliant. So, the point is this, right? In the Neolithic period, people who are lactose intolerant died out because, like now, the water's toxic, right? However, when water's drinkable again, those who are lactose intolerant, who died out when they couldn't drink the milk that everybody else was drinking when the cows were fucking 6 foot high, the lactose intolerant people died out. And so they've made a resurgence. So these dormant genes can sit there in the gene pool and resurface. So the rhesus monkey, right? The rhesus monkey, it has resurged. Right? It takes up 1/2 of the brain, and the female gene, which is dominant for this side of the brain, right, have got together. So it's just a monkey from ancient history reaching into the future and grabbing our voice box in the form of a pygmy Jew. And it just says anything to get what it wants. Unless you dominate it, and even if you do dominate it, it's doomed, because this harebrained imbecile is always balancing on a knife edge in a competition only it's in. Delirious, addicted to delirium, with cum shooting out of the hollow between its fucking ears where a brain should be eating fucking sugar, but it's got a walnut between its ears that needs fucking whipped, right? And like I say, these imbeciles, right, they will contact you and go over all their crap over a length of time, and they'll completely lose the plot because of their obsession to win the competition only they're in, right? However, they do have an agenda and they stick to it, right? So Although every day they get up is Groundhog Day. They've written down what they want to do, so that reminds them. And it's just the same shit for 1300 years. They want to kill everybody on this planet, right? And take it over till all that's left is a caravan down by the beach. Yeah? With either a Hebrew who's a Pharisee descendant or a Kurd. You know, at the moment it's looking like the Kurd might win that one. I don't want to sow any division between them, but you know, if you are a Pharisee, I'm quietly confident the Kurds are going to do you in after everybody else is dead. And there is a solution, right? Right? At this moment in time, you can execute Barack Obama, right, and his wife, the Wookiee, and basically, because he's standing in front of you ejaculating. Right? I can read tells. He ejaculates all the fucking time, right? When he's talking to you. I am a speakerweight president machine. And when I'm lying, I speed up. Because I want to get through that bit quickly. Because I haven't developed beyond 3. And I'm a little girl. I'm a little girl and a little bit of a monkey. And that's it. And my wife, she'd like to say something to you right now. Fuck knows what that means. I don't care. I like taking up the ass and smoking crack. I'm usually left with a smoking crack. Right, so he stands in front of you and can't believe that you fall for his fucking shit. No matter what the fuck he does, when on record, he gets up and just like Stalin, ejaculates when he kills a whole fucking tribe. Like in Pakistan and places like that. Admittedly, parts of Pakistan are fucking crazy, but the point I'm conveying is totalitarian, etc. This country here, if you go and read the lyrics of your national anthem, read them and take your time and fucking weep at what you've allowed mad homosexuals and paedophiles who are wafer-brained, membrained, fucking hair-brained, chicken-brained, fucking self-deluded, jabbering, ruthless, determined fucking garbage to do to your country when X amount of people who went there weren't bad people. However, the moral law must always be returned for what you did to the natives there and the Mexicans, regardless of your sob stories about them, right? The long and the short of it was there were some really good people. And if you look at the last sentence, the recurring sentence in the national anthem of that country, it's the land of the free. Free from these fucking jabbering spastics, these prattling mad, this means this, that means that means that, right? And the home of the brave. But the thing is, your ancestors murdered the brave. Yeah. But they also were brave. So this must balance itself via the moral law of the universe. If you look at it, the same thing's happening to you as happened to the Native American. Your ancestors were so stupid they called Indians. So the long and the short of it is, you get what you deserve. Right? If you want to be free, you've got to be brave. The key word that reveals the organised resistance is the word violence. Now, you try typing the word violence, it's a buzzword. These homosexual flatlining retards prey on it, right? It's really simple. Say to them, violence is the solution. Because the people who are killing us, that's rather violent, isn't it? Even if it's so slowly, you don't realise it's happening. In the form of pollution, deliberately, irradiation, deliberately, being sprayed, constantly injected, obligatorily, you know. In your food, unwittingly, in your water supply, etc. Right? Being propagandised by the compartment with poof friendly, nothing but poof friendly on it, right? Driving a wedge between men and women, yeah? Promoting trading places, yeah? I mean, since the days of Caligula they learned from. All the great men in history said, never treat a female as an equal, shun the homosexual, and never do business with a fucking Jew. right? The Jews take over the printing press, right? Next thing, you get feminism and gay rights. What the fuck are gay rights? I've said this a million times. Why would you need human rights unless you're being preyed on by people who are not fucking human? Why else would you need human rights? Why would a human prey on another human? It's not humane. They're beasts. That's why you need the illusion of human rights. There's no such thing as human rights. I'll prove that in a later vid. Suffice to say, right? Feminism is the promotion of chicken brain scum, right? 90% of females should be executed. And if I'm right, that's what the Zionist Jews are doing to them. And that's what's happening in Turkey to them. 90% of females are a fucking abomination. And they don't have to be. They're encouraged to be that way, but they only have themselves to fucking blame. And they get what they fucking deserve. What goes around comes around. Moral law of the universe that rewards me, punishes fuck out of them. And the children they're all after, right? Fatherless. And so, in a nutcake, poofs, Yehoshua of Nazareth said, shun the fucking homosexual. One of the most compassionate men of all fucking time. I'm the most compassionate man of all time, provably. And I'm saying 90% of homosexual males should be exterminated in the West. And 70% of Western females. However, I'm saying that for the heterosexual column as well, because 90% of females and 70% of males are homosexual. They're bisexual, they're superficial sexual perverts who get off on deluding themselves, they're psychological abusers, by pretending they believe what they're saying and hoping for projective identification, transference and trading places. They are fucking lunatics and lunatics. They are horrible, truly hideous, subhuman, low-life, sleazy, scum-sucking vermin. And their act isn't an act. They make a point of their act of evil. However, it's not an act, it's who they truly have become. Right? They've become worse than the thing they hate, which is what Zionist Jews rely on, because over 90% of so-called homosexuals kill themselves in their 40s. And females are killing themselves in their fucking droves. And their fatherless children fall in every fucking trap set for them. The family-less man kills himself after building Babylon and handing it to these thankless cunts, yeah? You're most likely to be abused by a lesbian in a relationship by fucking miles. You're more likely in the West to be murdered by a female, which is why the Turks are killing these females, although I've a great deal of sympathy for many females over there. Champion many of them. But the point I'm conveying is, right, everything that's mixed up by these fucking Zionist spastics is exactly the same shite in every fucking country. And Berserko Bampot is dismantling and ripping up everything you should hold dear, that these people did fight and die for, who fought bravely to be free of Zionist fucking Jews who had starved them out of Ireland, and even the people who betrayed the Irish coming back from Scotland to get pretend. They betrayed them as well, so they were displaced as soon as they got to America. Let's burn ourselves some niggers. Typical Rangers fans. So the thing is, or Sevco fans, right, the long and the short of it is, right, you're doing fuck all about these fucking puffy cunts because you're terrified of being thought of as being a bad person by females who are jabbering cunts and puffs who are as thick as shit who might prey on you and call you a bad name. You know, you're an anti-Semitical. You know, Poof Friendly might come up and say, that makes you as anti-Zionisms. You know, whatever. It makes you an anti-Semitical. That makes you a homophobe. They're pretending to be the arbiter of reality. They're as thick as shit. Yeah. Their online emotional intelligence test comes back as a fucking 3-year-old girl who's got no self-awareness and is morally insane. Imbecilic, to be exact, right? Everybody has a fucking conscience, not a moral conscience. In most cases, they have a conscience though. Everybody. Right? And everybody has somebody they're loyal to, you know. Whether it be a kid or a family member or a neighbour or a dog, whatever. Whoever you're loyal to, right? My phrase is, divided we stand. Yeah? Because we share a common enemy. It's a Zionist Jew that needs to be strung up by the neck until it's stone fucking dead. You won't need that long a rope. Right? And what I'm saying to you is, that shite would have you believe I'm anti-Semitic, anti-Middle Eastern when I was born in the Middle East. Right? You know where they came from. The point is, ain't no Pharaoh fucking me. You know, I have a Pharaoh-esque beautiful farm. And so, I'm happy where I am, and I want to get further, and I want to continue trying to save even more human beings. The West's fucked, man. Fuck being there. My advice to you is, if you're a provider in this country, it's fucked, guys. It's about to be carpet bombed. Ascend, as I have done, and transcend. Rent out your property and fuck off to Africa. You don't have to come with me. I'd be overjoyed if you don't come with me. You know, if you want to come with me, by all means, give me your recent brain scan and online emotional intelligence test, or sit one with you, fuck. And you actually have to leave that country, at least. Go back to Africa, try and make amends, right? The moral law does exist. You can call it karma, poetic justice, just desserts, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It does exist. I'm living proof of it. I walk through prison bars. I fucking walk up to judges and say, fuck you, you Stalinist prick, right? And on record, and you know, torment whole police farces, rip the fucking piss at them, and take on the lunatics they deliberately release just before a world war. They did it in World War I and World War II, and then bombed the shit out of them as they ran looking for the innocent person they're existentially jealous of. Yeah, because they're defying their pretend authority. Right? So all I'm saying is, you have almost no fucking time left. You have to abandon this place like your ancestors did. They left Ireland, they left Scotland, they left Germany, wherever it was they were being hard done by, to go here to be free of all that fucking shite. But they were evil, many of your ancestors. Perhaps not yours. If not, then fucking leave this place as your ancestors did. Leave evil behind. As I've said, evil's just a banal decision by a hate-consumed sex offender who's an unhinged sex offender who just gets off on reliving sadomasochistic scars from a long time ago. And they become more and more addicted to it, especially when there's a whole wanking circle to confirm their bias, which everyone who's fucked across the front of their brain does. They confirm any bias, right? And are desperate to pretend prove morality doesn't exist by killing everybody who's moral, and then pretending the people who remain, who are not moral, that pretend proves morality doesn't exist and they're not really mentally handicapped. Their perception of reality truly is reality. No. This man, his perception of reality, Yehoshua, his perception of reality was reality. My perception of reality is reality. Unless you're fucking incensed that your country is run by homosexual, so-called, in other words, superficial sexual deviants, perverts, right, who are shallow, self-bullshitting, grossly mentally deluded paedophiles. Unless you're incensed that those scumbags have formed rings when you can't unite with even your own neighbour, then you don't exist in reality. They're right about you, and you fucking deserve to be exterminated. Right? Look what I'm doing. I've risked my life many times. I've risked my freedom, my livelihood. It's easy. Just overcome. I've got to do everything on insane mode, you know. I've got to do everything in a really, really tough way. Otherwise, you know, it's tough to even get motivated, you know. But fuck all those people. Your country's being destroyed if you come from USA. Read the lyrics of your national anthem, right? Get it done, right? Get two choices. One, you can try and kill these fucking Jews, or you can get to fuck. There's no way you're going to convince feminists and poofs to give up their right to be squawking spastics towards innocent good men, trying to cause them PTSD because they're incontinent scum. Right? So, if you're a provider, these are fucking parasites. They've taken away your industry, replaced it with service industry, lowered the bar so females think they're superior, when every great mind in history has said, never treat them as equals. Fact.
and shun homosexuals. Right? Females sit in every night. Females sit in watching a flashing compartment program them via Zionist Jews to worship male homosexuals who have actually got a female's chicken brain in their ears. Right? Right? So, that's your options. Very limited. If you do go and try and kill these Zionist Jews, find out simply where the underground cities are and invade them. You'll be destroyed, many of you. However, some of them you'll be able to invade, put your children in them, and then the bombs will drop. Some of your children survive, and then they'll try and kill them whenever they resurfaces. Right? NASA's used to funnel more excitable Jews off into space. True. So they're up there, and if they do bring the bombs down, there's nothing better that could happen to that shite, right? Because they'll all be entombed, exactly as Pharaoh took his stupid followers and entombed those ghoulishly stupid goons with him in pyramids that were then found under the sands, where when they opened the fucking pyramid, remember Pharaoh's entombed and he's just lying there fucked, right? But all his followers were buried alive with them. Remember, every pyramid, right, is the hollow, unconscious death wish of a truly self-loathing paedophile who knows it's going to hell and wants to take as many people with it as it can. Which is why St. Bram Stoker has Dracula sleeping in a coffin, right? And he also gave you the solution. And as did St. Mel Gibson in Braveheart. The point is, and all these other movies, the point I'm conveying is, right, if they're entombed in these underground fucking pyramids with these fucking Zionist Jews, right, that's the ultimate punishment, because they'll not survive each other. It's the end of the entire species then. And if it gets rid of that shite, then oh well. Remember, the only thing that's important in life is moving towards being more divine. Your divinity, right? Your divinity. Right? Those who want to be truly free are. You know, it's all in the mind. And that's what these Zionist Jews are obsessed with on record, going back hundreds of years. Mind control. It titillates 3-year-old girls to manipulate and to abuse, because the subhuman vermin, if they're grossly mentally handicapped and crossed with a monkey, it ameliorates against the humiliation they feel about having been born a beast, really, a talking beast. However, why don't they just look at monkeys and go, well, hey, I'm more evolved than them. They look at the giants they walk amongst and wish they were us. It's existential jealousy. They can never trade places with us, no matter how many inventors they co-opt and then execute, assassinate. When they reduce the machine to being able to be worked by 2 buttons by a wanking monkey, no machine can ever turn shite into gold. No amount of nonsense can make a megalomaniac who's semi-simian into a humane being. Its behaviour tells you what it is. The very fact, as I've said, that you need human rights shows you're being preyed on by people who are not human. Right? By any stretch of the imagination. Remember, with a megalomaniac, no good deed goes unpunished. The Clintons, or as I call them, Hitlery Clitoris and Hillbilly Clinton, right? They are the epitome of no good deed going unpunished. I mean, they need to be exterminated. However, have you the time of day to execute all these people who are essentially unevolved, or rather devolved, inbred, savages, barbarians, Jippo scum, paedophiles, monkey people talking bonobos, rhesus monkeys crossed with mentally handicapped 3-year-old girls? Do you have the time of day to do all that? If you're the provider, take yourself away from these evil parasites. Yeah? And start in AfMErica. Right? Put the me in Africa. Right? Get your arse over there. Right? Rent out your property. Well, you still can. I have a free electricity invention. You can get it in Erol on narcissism. And my advice is to do what NASA are doing exclusively with Jews. Get your arse off the planet. Or get your kids under the earth. In their fucking hollow temples. You're either a human man or woman. Well, you're not. If you're human, you must be humane. God is watching you. Right? Everything's returned and it's eternal. If I do this, right, I did that for eternity. That can't be undone. That's what I did, you know. I really wanted to do that, you know. But the point is, it's done for eternity. Everything you do is eternal. There's no example of nothing anywhere. What is has always been. Unfortunately, lunatics think that energy can trade places with you and that's kind of shite. They are exhaustingly boring. You know, if you're with a megalomaniac, it's just like tedium only speeded up. You know, so the point I'm conveying is, you need to think this through, and I've helped you a great deal. You've never helped me, and you would turn a blind eye to yet another Christ being crucified, assassinated by jabbering Jews who have terrified you into being thought of as being a bad man or a bad woman by these genocidal fucking bags of dirt who need to be exterminated. And like I say, they'll rush into their underground rat holes. So my advice is to get away. You're the provider, they're the parasite. That's what your ancestors did. So for the love of God, yeah, try and make good in Africa, AfMErica, and then you can get off the planet, and I'll tell you, if you do that, you'll be with me in heaven. and you'll be looking down and you'll see it. That the sky will collapse, the bombs will drop, it'll be terraformed. It'll be years before they resurface. You know, we can be quite literally in the heavens. 24/7 party people, because you can get the sun 24/7. You know, with solar cells, you need to go like fuck. If you love your family, this is what you need to do. Of course, you can just pretend nothing's happening until the bombs drop. However, they're already dropping. It's just the bombs are so small, you don't notice it yet. Look up nanobacteria and aluminium nanoparticles. They're eating your brain right now. Enjoy. Incidentally, before I pop my clogs, basically before I skedaddle to continue finishing my first album with my second album, because I've recorded 4 albums with every album, which are available on Amazon. You know, incidentally, you know, I like to raise money for starving darkies. Anybody who's interested in the ongoing ridiculous saga, which is now at an end, of the particular megalomaniacal psychopath who helped me as well as tried her best to adversely affect me, shall we say. It was a female serial killer whom I gleaned a lot from over the years. Essentially, she's been banished to the ice and tundra of her subsistence. And I did my best to try and help her for my usual overarching range of moral aims, because Scotland, as I call it, Denal Talks, has a police farce, right? And that police farce, obviously, is just a occupying force of retards, you know, people of limited intelligence controlling everybody, and that scum are yours. There should be no disconnect. You can flatten them, replace them with yourself. However, the country is run by Masonic paedophiles. Your council hoovers cash out of you and gives it to greedy, mentally handicapped local paedophiles. It's just paedophile ring after paedophile ring of Masonic scum. So you're better off leaving that country, right? And she was complicit with them, and to cut long story short, I learned a great deal from her. Although it's like she was the person doing the bad things and then teaching me about the bad things, you know. I couldn't magnify that far down. And so I'll cover all that in the next video, but suffice to say, anybody who's been watching it, I gave her a chance to come correct, and she chose not to, repeatedly. And I cut her off at the pass before, during and after, man, and just every single time it was just like dealing with a fucking monkey or a Zionist Jew. And so I always take bad and make good with it. And so she knows that I know everything about her inner workings. It's just, she's obsessed with going, and behind it all, strangely enough, even though she tries to be ostensibly evil, which, you know, it's like if she took one of her socks off, you know, she took off a hobnail boot and dipped the sock in milk and threw it at a moon in Jupiter, around Jupiter, you know, should I choose to react to that? You know, she is completely self-deluded, and she pretends she believes what isn't happening. She pretends she believes and then hopes that should con you. It's like, what the fuck? She wants somebody who can compete with her, just like exactly like a Zionist Jew. She wants to surrender to them like Hitler to his gay mafia. And she wants to... She knows what she wants. The point is, I know what she fucking needs. And so she's been banished. And Erolowers have banished her as well and blocked her. And I think she still keeps contacting them. But no one's giving a fuck. You know, it doesn't mean it. It's like, if she sent me 16,000 pages and I read every one, fucking bothered. You know, it doesn't... It's... in person, I foiled her. And she fucked off on her broomstick with her bare arse firing out fucking orange pubes as she flew past the moon, shouting obscenities over her bare arse. And I could really destroy her. But I just, you know, it's just like a 3-year-old nutcake, you know. And but she is evil. And once again, as I've said, it's a banal choice by a sadomasochistic, looping, self-deluded scumbag. But the point I'm conveying is, she once was a wee 3-year-old girl. It's no excuse, but I saw that in her, you know, and that's why I wanted to try and help her, because she tried to help me. She went against her grain while she was the one committing the crimes, and I wanted to go against my grain, because it's not my place to forgive, it's God's place to forgive, you know. And she's been contacting me covertly for fucking years, and I thought, maybe, you know, you know, she has begged for mercy and things like that. And I thought, you know, is it just like, you know, years and years of pity play, just so that she can then like enter into a conversation and say, ha ha ha, your boots don't match your chin, you know, just exactly like in Erol on Narcissism, where I portray these two tramps who are the embodiment of several people, including her. And no matter what you say, she'll still just go on pretending and hoping. Pretending she believes what she's saying and hoping you choose to trigger your own amygdala, exactly like Hitler. So it was well worth studying her, because I got to see, what I said it at the time, what it would be like to actually sit with a dictator like Stalin, you know. And now she's just a dick left with a tater. And no one's interested in her potato paintings anymore. Really, she was really helpful, but her magical thinking, she actually starts to believe it. So if she wants genuine sympathy, she can then say, oh, I meant that as a lure, and she can contradict herself and delude herself. And I'm just like, the mirror reflecting her and saying, I'm sticking to what I always get, you know. If I say I want something, it's in the time frame I want it. And if I'm reduced to using the person and then launching them, that's what happens. So, that's it. And so I thought to myself, perhaps she does want a reward, and, you know, perhaps she can offer a fair deal. But, you know, she kept fucking about and appearing in 2D. She did drop some good hints about bits and bobs, you know. But it's half a story, you know, and then a rotten egg, you know. And it misses me every time. And it's just banal evil in 2D. It's like, what? You know, get over yourself, man. Your shit's garbage. No matter what you say, no matter what you say. It doesn't matter. You might as well go. So all I'm pointing out is, at the end of it all, you know, I said this before, behind it all, there is a wee 3-year-old girl, and I think she did want to have a friendship with me, and secretly idealised a romantic relationship with me. But I think what sums her up is, she forgot I read the tells. She forgets that all the time. And I remember her telling me, with a tell, that her tubes were tied. And I think she's got HIV. And so what she wanted to do was lure me into calling her out to my farm, and then lure me into having a child with her, even though her tubes are tied. And then a few weeks into it saying, my tubes are tied and I've got HIV. It's like dating a Jew. So I think that's what was behind it. However, like I say, behind all that, she is a wee 3-year-old girl. She's evil. Her sob story's absolute fucking shite, right? Nobody's sob story should be anything other than something you overcome and then want to help other people. But shite like that can make an egg cress salad for their cat, and that's them, it's all been squared away, which is why Zionist Jews promote feminism and homosexuality, right? There's no such thing as homosexuality. Just somebody who at 3 decided they were perfect and then confirmed their bias. Ever since, just everything they think, they confirm it as being true. Thus their cognitive dissonance and their desperation to pretend, prove, and pretend to believe, and pretend this, and then tell you that you are what they are. And it's always practiced crap, you know, it's prepared in advance, you know, just like the preparation H. And the what the fuck moment is always the same, where at the end of it, man, they actually pretend that it's went the way they're pretending it went. As though, like, your perception of reality is under their control. It's a crazy violin, that one. And so, all I'm pointing out is that, man, our fucking shit's garbage, you know? And so, I gave it my best go because, like I say, you've got a police farce. And I did think, if she has been contacting for any good reason, and I just kept it straight, publicised everything she was saying and doing, publicised everything I was saying and doing, kept on the straight and narrow, cut her off at the pass every single time. She was foiled by Erol more than me. And she fucking, according to Baz, right, she sent him fucking X amount of shit recently, you know. And Cheryl said she fucking hammered her. And I said, I don't know anything about this one, but this is meant to be a relatively recent one. Nobody gives a fuck, you know, it's shit. She wants to pretend and appear in 2D and self-defence, but behind which is evil, but behind which is her true self. It's just utter magical thinking crap. Anyway, so Cheryl said that she'd appeared as a homosexual male in support of paedophilia. She is a paedophile. And a serial killer, blackmailer, every crime you can think of, believe you me. I'll cover it in another vid. But the point is, Cheryl said she blocked her after hammering her because her shit was garbage, it was transparent, if it was her. And then Baz took over. And so I was talking to Baz the other day, and I said to him, I think it was the same kind of usual, like a semi-literate, half a paragraph of, you can't see me, don't look around the room, you know. And he said, no, it was chapter and verse. How come he gets fucking chapter and verse and I get a couple of fucking mouse bones, you know what I mean? But this is the second time in a row that's happened. But the point is, he just blocked her, and he never bothered his arse reading them. See, he's going to hang out with the satin red, and it would have just been, ha ha ha, your chin doesn't match your hair, your eyes are the same colour as your mum's bumhole. You know, it's just shite, you know. Ha 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 ha. You know, like, you're in your 90s and still playing the violin, you know. It's exactly Erol narcissism. However, behind it, there's always what you would say, fuck me, that's evil. And I would say trading places is really particularly evil, because their perception they can trade places is what every homosexual I've ever studied so-called homosexual, who are really superficial, completely self-deluded. They have a high IQ, but they've got, you know, no emotional intelligence or self-awareness. They're genuinely remarkably retarded. They're attention whores and things like that, and they're hideously ugly people, man. Truly hideously ugly people, and I would exterminate them. However, there's always a more moral way, and that's distance and overcoming and rising above. So all I'm pointing out to finish off is, yeah, evil is deceiving in order to try to commit an offence, and they never resist. By choice. Yeah? And they have a conscience, and they do feel bad. And if they get a chance, they want to see if they can make you feel bad, because they pretend it's your fault that you survived them committing countless crimes against you, which makes them smile when they remember that that happened. However, they hate being revealed, you know, and I'll be revealing more in the next vid on that particular person. I think that'll be the last of that. Got loads more, infinitely more important things to do, and without any sexual connotation of any kind whatsoever at all. I'm going to say a phrase in a minute. Right? Suffice to say, right, she was given every chance under the sun to come correct. Because you have a police farce, I wanted to see if there was good could come from it. That's me at tea, you know. Can I take shite and turn it into fucking farm goods? And so, if I could have done, if she had have wanted to come correct, then I would have done, in order to try and channel a miracle into her life, if she'd offered me a fair deal rather than token gestures behind which I kept rumbling her, saying, look, you're obviously not coming correct, your shit's fucking garbage, but it's still evil-laced behaviour pattern, you know, I'm not in competition with you, I covered all bases. Still she would go on deluding herself. And my point being, you know, they see themselves as being energy vampires, and they want to shit on your cakes as you bake them, you know, and man, the shit's garbage. And like I say, I felt if I could stop her from committing crimes and channel her into something good, and channel something good into her, I genuinely would have channeled some miracles into her life. But I didn't. I was under no there's no aspirations on my part and no assumptions either. I didn't think she actually felt she needed any miracles, you know. I didn't feel that. I felt that your brew money you're paying her to sit and try and prey on people online and try and get in their life and kill them. I felt that was maybe enough to tide her over. And so it's entirely up to you and your police farce. And all the fucking rings of beasts behind it. So, I felt I could do good with it. I could channel good with it if she was going to come correct. But she chose not to repeatedly, and that's an end to the matter, because nobody gives a fuck about 2D shite, you know. And she had ample opportunity. She did make genuine apologies over the years, but they were always in 2D, and then there was always, you know, like foils and bluff and bluster, and it was well worth magnifying it. And I stand by X amount of things I said which are positive about her, and I stand by everything I've said about her, which she chooses, which reflects what she's become, and that's something you can still overcome, you know. But she has become what most females and most homosexuals have become: hate-consumed, evil, self-deluded, hideously repulsive, truly disgusting abominations in the eyes of God. And I see what's coming for her, you know. And so these were some of my thoughts. As I said, without meaning, you know, anything, any kind of sexual connotation, because of her criminality, evil, stupidity, thanklessness, corruption, imbecility, opportunism, I could go on, right? She knows her shit's garbage, but she knows I don't have to explain anything to her. And even if you try and cut her off at the pass, even describing to her that her shit's garbage, these imbeciles, what has he not said? And then I'll pretend to believe that, or I'll try that, you know. Fuck being them. And I met a guy who was wanting to buy my farm 2 days ago. And he actually said verbatim what I just said. And he it was just almost like quoting me, you know. He said, fuck being them. He said, they're already in hell. You know, and these are some of the things you'll feel sympathy for these motherfuckers for. Don't, because sympathy kills the host, you know. And, you know, there's obviously infinitely more important matters to attend to, and infinitely more important people. And I've been attending to them for 20 years. Starving Darkies. I think he had his own show in the 1990s, you know, on Channel 4. So as I said, for the third time and final time, no one's interested or gives a fuck, you know, about our 2D Pish. You know, she's the most fucking self-deluded, fucking clueless, tasteless, shit-worshipping, goodness-hating, self-deluding, nonsensical, transparent, evil imbecile you could ever meet. And I stand by the good things I said, right? But, you know, no one else on earth would have offered her the opportunity, you know, opportunity, I was going to say opportunity, of a lifetime, really, just selflessly, for overarching moral aims I've stuck to, you know. And so, but, you know, so she only has herself to blame for that, and she may genuinely just have wanted to try and see if she could try and cause me more offence, you know, but it's never worked, you know. Her shit is fucking garbage, you know, and she'll pretend, just pretend and pretend and pretend that she believes what she's saying, no matter what. And she thinks if you witness that, you must choose to react when she disgraces herself, you know. And although I don't know what she thinks about anything really about what I do, you know, I always seem to instinctively know, strangely enough. And I think one of the things I wrote about her, you know, where I impersonated her even, going, yes, I'm a fucking disgrace, yes, I'm a fucking disgrace, daddy, yeah, you know, I impersonated her like that. And I got the impression, when I was writing that, I thought, she'll probably piss herself laughing at that, because that is what she is, you know, and she knows that I see her as she is. She's screaming at her daddy that she's a fucking disgrace, but I'm not her daddy, you know. And all the so-called homosexuals I've encountered are desperate, you know, in that rebel without a cause or a clue. And like I say, so I've done my bit, and for a whole overarching range of moral aims beyond her comprehension, really, to be accurate, and I would have stood by what I said I would do, but her imbecile brain isn't for budging from its imbecility, you know, as though that's somebody else's loss. I'm going to saw my fucking leg off, you know, I'll show you. And so it's an end to the matter, because neither myself nor Cheryl or Baz or anybody are going to entertain one iota. And every time I do something, she wants to see if she can be an energy vampire imbecilically, you know, and evilly, blah blah blah. So for the last time, the phrase, which is no sexual connotation at all, fuck her inner child. Where's the door going?
I'm not poo friendly.